One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. What a profound statement by Malala Yousafzai. Good morning and a warm welcome to each one of you to Al-Ameen College, Erkala. The Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Al-Ameen College proudly presents two-day national seminar on the topic Reforms in Higher Education Post National Education Policy 2020 Challenges and Opportunities. Let's begin the inaugural session with a silent prayer. Request all of you to please rise in silence. Please be seated. On this auspicious occasion, we have a distinguished panel of speakers and also participants from other colleges who have taken the effort to be with us here today. I call upon Dr. Leena Varghese, IQAC Coordinator, Al-Ameen College, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning to one and all present. Honorable Vice Chancellor, ULS, Professor Dr. K.C. Sunny in his absence. Professor Karna Pushpanadam, he is also will be joining us in the afternoon. Principal Ma'am Dr. Sinipidian, Manager Dr. Junaid Rahman, distinguished guests Dr. Mohan B. Menon, Professor Dr. Amit Kumar, participants from different institutions and my dear colleagues. I am highly honored to take this opportunity on behalf of Al-Ameen College to welcome all you today to this two-day seminar, Reforms in Higher Education Post-NEP 2020 Challenges and Opportunities. Today we all have gathered here to discuss about a very important topic, Reforms in Higher Education, which is the most vehemently discussed issue with significant implications for the future of education system. NEP changed the rigid phase of the current education system and restructured it to adapt the global changes happening in this field. NEP 2020 aims to cater multifarious growing development imperatives of the nation on one hand and creating a just and equitable society on the other. According to the structural and functional shifts brought by NEP in higher education sector, the assessment and accreditation system is also revamped to include and incorporate the changes which has taken place in the curriculum, pedagogy, research and extension. In this context, we wish to address the most important dimensions of NEP, such as blended learning and its challenges, outcome-based education and its attainment, academic bank of credits, skill and vocational education, etc. Against this backdrop, we have assembled here to know more about the topic with many eminent speakers lined up for the national seminar. With this brief background, let me move on to my interested duty. Collaborations among educational institutions, the key to NEP success. We are privileged to receive collaborations from UGC-HRDC, University of Kerala, in organizing this seminar. I am very much delighted to welcome Professor K.M. Siddharth Ibrahim, Director of UGC-HRDC to this seminar in his absentia. He will be joining with us in an online session at 10:30. So in his absence, I would like to welcome him to this occasion. With great pleasure, let me now welcome Dr. Mohan B. Menon, former Vice Chancellor, Burson University, Malaysia, to this seminar. Let me take this opportunity to welcome Sir to this occasion. Welcome, sir. We have another eminent person to handle our first technical session, Professor Dr. Amit Kumar, sir, Professor, Central University of Kerala. We hereby welcome you, sir, to this national seminar. Hearty welcome, sir. Principal Dr. Sini Kurian and Dr. Junaid Rahman needs no introduction. They are the part and parcel of our institution and the strong pillars who has led us the way in all the prospects of this institution. With most pleasure, I would like to welcome Dr. Sini Kurian, Principal, and also Dr. Junaid Rahman, Sir, Manager of this institution. I want to also welcome dear participants who have come up here to Al-Ameen College to join with us in this national seminar. Thank you all the participants, and I am sure that this sessions, all the technical sessions, will firmly enrich your knowledge with after completion of this event. I welcome you all once again to the seminar and hope that you will have a great time ahead. Lastly, I would also like to welcome my dear colleagues and friends also to this national seminar. I hope you all find that the seminar highly engaging, fruitful and beneficial for your future ventures. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to invite our biggest motivator, our dear principal, Dr. Sini Kurian, for the presidential address.
Good morning all. Respected guest of honor, Professor K.M. Sajid Ibrahim, Professor and Director, UGC-HRDC, University of Kerala in his absence. Inaugural Speaker, Professor K.C. Sunny, Vice Chancellor NUAS in his absence. Dr. Mohan B. Menon, former Deputy VC, Al-Ameen University, Malaysia. Dr. Junaid Rahman, Manager, Al-Ameen College. Dr. Amar G. Kumar, Professor, Central University of Kasaragod, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Lina Varghese, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me welcome all of you to the campus of Al-Ameen College for the national seminar organized by IQAC of our college. Ours is an accredited institution established in 1981, accredited by A grade in 2020-21. It's indeed a great privilege to organize such a wonderful seminar on national education policy. Actually, this is the talk of the town nowadays. NEP 2020 is the third NEP of India. First one was in 1968, second one was in 1986. As all of us know, the new education policy will have a huge impact on the future of India and naturally raises many debatable questions and issues. NEP 2020 was prepared by a panel led by Dr. Kasturi Rangan, aiming at a major transformation reforms in higher education sector to improve the quality of education. NEP 2020 now has become a reality. And as educators, we are the major stakeholders of this policy and we need to address it. In order to address it, we definitely have to understand the know-hows and how it is going to affect the higher education sector. It's almost 2 years that the policy has been implemented, and by now many of us must have attended many seminars and workshops related to NEP and maybe knowing the basic concepts, aim, vision, etc. But now it's high time to discuss each and every key aspects mentioned in NEP 2020, especially the areas which is going to affect or challenge the higher education sector. It is this particular context the IQAC of Al-Ameen College has taken the initiative to organize the seminar on reforms in higher education post NEP 2020 challenges and opportunities. We have selected some major areas like academic bank of credits, multidisciplinary and skill-based education and curriculum design based on NEP. Another important aspect that we all are concerned and worried about is how it is going to affect the future of higher education institutions. All these aspects have to be debated and discussed. We need to have more brainstorming sessions and open discussions, especially in the context of Kerala, where we have more affiliated institutions than autonomous institutions. I am sure at least some of these aspects or issues we can address through this seminar. We hope and I wish we have a very intellectual and fruitful sessions and debate in this seminar. Once again, wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We are indeed blessed to have our beloved manager, Dr. Junaid Rahman, amongst us today. He is an exceptional figure who never says no to any of our requests. I humbly request you, sir, to share your thoughts on this wonderful occasion.
Good morning, everyone. Respected dignitaries on the dais and dear brothers and sisters. I'm indeed very happy that our college is organizing such a major national seminar, especially on a very vital topic like new education policy. In fact, since the publishing of the new education policy, many apprehensions have arose in the minds of people, and many of the good aspects have been explained in various aspects, in various forums. Still, the debates are going on about the benefits and the demerits of the new education policy. For a college like Al-Ameen College, which is a minority institution, the new education policy will have great impact on its functioning, and the future of the college is also very much dependent how this new educational policy evolves. This is the first step on the part of the college to have a seminar like this, and I am sure we will be having more similar seminars in the context of new education policy in the years to come. All new developments, new activities, new initiatives taken up by the departments, by the college, by the IQAC are all being supported by the management, and in whatever possible way, anything in future also, the management is always with the administration of the college. Many delegates have come from various other institutions, even from Delhi, where I met one academician, and I'm very happy. I'm happy to welcome all of you to our college, and especially the faculty members. They are all very eminent persons in their field, and the college and all of you are very lucky to have such eminent faculty members for your sessions in the coming 2 days. I wish all the best for the seminar, and I hope all of you will have a wonderful time and you will gain much from this conference. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. We have yet another gem with us today, Dr. Mohan B. Menon. He is the former Deputy Vice Chancellor of Wawasan University, Malaysia. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir, to deliver the keynote address.
Good morning, all of you. Let me first of all thank this college for inviting me, Dr. Junaid Rahman, the manager, and Professor Professor Sini Kurian, Principal, and I know some of your colleagues here in the college. I have visited this college earlier too, couple of times, and it was 2014 that I came first. I didn't remember the year, but I was reminded of that this morning. The keynote address, as I'm supposed to deliver here, is on NEP, related to NEP. So I was actually wondering what, because NEP is something which has been circulated widely among all the people, all the states, and many of you would have, of course, all of you would have seen it, I'm sure. And so what should I be talking as a keynote to the policy implementation when we operationalize a policy? So I was thinking that it will be, and incidentally that India is not, it is not new that we have a policy. We have several policies. That's what I wanted to first say. 75 years, India had several policies, committees, commissions, not only for higher education but for other school education, etc. So, incidentally, in my lifetime, I have seen, as a student, entering the college in 1964, is the first major commission, the Kothari Commission. Some of you would have heard about that. It is a Education Commission 1964-66. Probably still will have the record of being the largest commission report ever made, and of 2 volumes. And there were, of course, other policies too. So when we go into the history of reforms in education in India, there are several such. In fact, higher education was the first committee which was Radhakrishnan Commission report. That was 1948, just after independence. Higher education was the one which was looked into. I have no intention to go into the details, so don't think that it will be a long presentation of the history. But the point here is that there are several such commissions which have been there for education. Mudaliar Commission for secondary education, then the Kothari Commission, because known as Kothari Commission because of D.S. Kothari, who was the chairman, but drafted by J.B. Nayak, who was a well-known educationist, who established the Indian Institute of Education in Pune, even working today as a major education institution. There were other developments too, and if you look at just after a draft policy was the first time a policy was drafted was in 1968, and what it did not become enacted, it didn't go to the parliament, and it did not become an act to be implemented, so it remained a draft. And then of course there are you can, then can you put it here? That will be useful. Yes, that's fine. Yeah. And there was a set of documents that came during the 80s, the challenge of education in policy perspective. Incidentally, the challenge of education was a major attempt made by Government of India at that time, that before we come out with a national policy in education, it should be discussed at length by the stakeholders. In fact, it was a major process. I remember very well because in 1985 I was in Baroda teaching, or later after Baroda University where I was teaching, and then I was in the system already. So we all discussed that at length. Incidentally, when at length, and then came out with our responses and all these, which was fair. Which did happen in NEP also. A draft policy was first NEP 2020. Also it happened because a draft policy was circulated earlier. People did respond to Constituent and report initially, and then it was modified. So it happened this time too. And in 1986, National Policy in Education was also modified. modified in 92. I mean, that's how. Then there was a program of action, which was very important because that actually converted the policy into action activities. I mean, that's something which is very important, because you cannot implement a policy, you can only implement a action that is coming out of the policy. So that was important. And then of course we have the National Education Policy in 2020, and the government, as I understand, of course I'm sure you will be discussing various aspects of that in this seminar. So my intention here is not to go to details of that policy, but to say that this policy will have to be operationalized for action. Although there are a lot of actions already into the policy, this policy is probably a combination of policy statements as well as some action statements too. This is the way I saw that. But the government did expect, the union government, that each state will operationalize it. Government of Kerala did not say that it is operationalizing that, like certain other governments have done, state governments have done, due to whatever be the reason. But then it did come out with a commission. It constituted a commission for higher education in Kerala, which also has come out with its report, I understand. But the government of Kerala has not taken it up and say these are the aspects that we are going to implement, or this is the way that Kerala will be operationalizing it, the national policy, as recommended by, or recommendations made by the Education Commission also. So that has not happened, except that of course that we know that the interaction going on between the Chief Minister and the Governor, which always is referred to and the reference is given as the Education Commission report, which I doubt whether the Commission people themselves would have intended that way, but that's what is happening. Beyond which I don't know to what extent that Kerala has really, maybe Professor Ramnath will be able to say better because he will be following it more keenly. But surely Kerala would be looking at that, and of course another development we see here, that some visits have been made to Finland, that we have heard that the Education Minister probably is still in Finland, to look into the education, which is a good place to visit. I mean, I should say Finland education system is one of the best systems in the world. There is no doubt about that, both school education and higher education. So that way. So from that point of view, it is a positive thing that maybe that on return Kerala would be really looking at how this the policy can be operationalized further. So in addition to these policies, historically, if you look at, there are also, I think we should keep this in mind, because Indian Constitution we should keep in mind always, along with all the developments that's happening. In the Constitution itself says about the Article 45 directing principle of the policy, that free and compulsory education for all. That's of course not higher education, we're talking about the school education. It also talks about presents for social justice and democracy, but also for improving average worker competence and increasing national productivity. It should really support the education. And it also had an amendment, amendments that made the amendment of the Indian Constitution in its original enactment defined education as a state subject. It is state's responsibility that education is to be organized. It is not union government's responsibility to do that. But then union government had a role of quality assurance, which was provided right in the Constitution, and also it was emphasized further in the Kothari Commission report, etc. But in 1976, this was amended and education was put into the concurrent list. Concurrent list is putting education into concurrent list is like a double-edged sword, that we say. It can be used for good purposes and like, for example, all the quality assurance activities and all the support and money coming in for higher education came in from the central government, the union government. Because of that, now it is concurrent list. The center also has equal responsibility for education, especially higher education, less probably in school education. So that is the thing. But it can also be a tool to control all the educational system and to have a uniform curriculum or uniform way of functioning all over the country, like India, which is like it's like many countries together. I mean, there are many states which are very, very different. Kerala is very different from Bihar, for example, and very different from Rajasthan and West Bengal. So, because it has its own unique history, it has its own unique developments and achievements in education itself. Kerala, for example, is one of those states which we always say that we are quite well educated state. I'm not sure what education means by that, but it is not just school, college or school education, but it is, we are talking about literacy and all only, but I'm not sure whether that really brings in wisdom to all the citizens of Kerala. And so we can't be too proud of seeing some of the developments happening in the society these days. How educated we are, is something which is debatable. But nevertheless, states are different, so the state should have its own freedom to organize things. Then, of course, we had a very important one was the Right to Education Act in 2009. Now, every child has a right, and it is the duty of the parent to put that child in the school. I mean, this is not for higher education, I am talking about school education, up to the age of 14, as given in the constitution too. So that is there. And similarly, there are other constitutional provisions for the marginalized group, the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other culturally, socially, and economically disadvantaged sections. All these are part of the constitution too. So this is where we really stand. So as far as higher education is concerned, I mean, we can focus on, and this has been a focus, incidentally, right from the Education Commission 1964-66, access to education, inclusion of all in the society, all marginalized groups and all gender and all these, if you look at, all should be included in the education, not only in higher education also, but not compulsorily. School education, it is a right, but here higher education, it may not become it is not a right, but we have to democratize higher education so that more and more students come to higher education. Quality and relevance also has been a concern even in all policies. Of course, NEP says that it is mainly the policies till now have been focusing on access and inclusion only, and not quality and relevance, which is not entirely true. It is right that the focus was more given for access and inclusion, and not much. See, if you look at quality was also an issue even before that. For example, the whole curriculum changes that happened with NCERT providing in school education is all improving quality. I mean, the good textbooks, good materials, etc. Access was also very important. The Indira Gandhi Open University and the whole Open University system came into existence mainly for democratizing education. More and more students should be able to enter education, so the enrollment in education, higher education can go up. So that was the focus. Relevance also was important. Right from the beginning, that was being told that education should really be skill-based. NEP says very emphatically on that and says that we should have more of vocation-related courses also, skill development also, and we should have many other things like multidisciplinarity and all this comes here. Now, so this is of course I just picked up something from NEP 2020. I will not go into, because here there is an emphasis on access, inclusion, quality and relevance much more than, and especially quality and relevance much more than what happened earlier, and things like multidisciplinarity and such things which have been included. People learn it, and of course even Kothari Commission talked about only the talked about only 10 plus 2 plus 3. It's interesting to see the only state which had 10 plus 2 plus 3 when Kothari Commission recommended was Kerala. But the 2 was in the college, not in the school, pre-degree. I mean, I am the first student of that, I can be proud of that, the first batch of pre-degree in 1964 I attended. And that was the college, that was the year when many colleges were set up, junior colleges were set up, like St. Xavier's College, Al-Ameen, the Bharat Mata College, Cochin College, not Al-Ameen, Al-Ameen came later. So there are many Mercy College. I studied in Palghat, so I remember Mercy College came up in Palghat. And we were put into, suddenly from 10th, we were, of course my college was just crossing the road because I was in the school just opposite to the college. We crossed the road, but we were crossing to a very difficult pre-degree. The reason why I am telling is that neither the teachers had good idea about what is to be taught. Textbooks were not available, adequate textbooks, good textbooks were not available, and we had no idea what we were jumping into from 10th to pre-degree, after 10th. And so still today, I thought 12th, pre-degree was the most difficult program that I went through in my life, education course that level I went through. Maybe plus 2 has that problem, even today plus 2 is not an easy thing to cross. But the reason was that the change, the transformation that was expected of 10 plus 2 plus 3 structure of Kothari Commission was done so suddenly that from 10 plus 1, the pre-university was there, so 11 years of schooling, and then 3 years of the university education was changed to 10 plus, no, there's a pre-professional was there only for the medical and engineering. But anyway, the change to 10 plus 2 plus 3 from pre-university to pre-degree was itself a difficult thing, and it took some pretty time for people to adjust to that situation. And many of them may not even remember there was an innovation which was made by Kerala University at that time called Special BSc. People were so, I happened to be in a general BSc, and there was that was in Special BSc. Special BSc, after 3 years, the government did not understand how to manage the general BSc people and Special BSc side. So the easiest thing they did was closing down the Special BSc. So what I'm emphasizing is that change. Now next year 4-year undergraduate program is supposed to come. It will start from next year, I'm told. I can be corrected. So when it is moving into 4 years, how are the colleges going to manage the 4th year? You know, the 4 years curriculum different, year-wise different, infrastructure problem, multidisciplinarity, and all this is something we really have to discuss and operationalize, not only at the national level, it is at the state level, at institutional level, so that we can really manage the thing better. Okay, let me not go further into. I want to focus mainly after this on what is an advantage today for the NEP implementation is that we are in a different technology era. Which you see, the ideas with regard to credit banking, in the multidisciplinarity have also been expressed in some way in the earlier policies. But when it comes to credit banking, I remember when IGNO was set up, we had the credits and we were ready to transfer credit from one institution to one university to the other. IGNO used to accept credits, and some Indian universities like Pondicherry University, I remember, had agreed to take credits from IGNO to that, but it didn't work out fully. Of course, credit transfers were made in individual cases, but it didn't really get established. The reason was the management of such a thing in a large scale was a problem. Now it is the digitization, digital technology that is really helping us today to manage any type of large numbers, whether it is for any purpose. We know very well that in terms of banking, in terms of any sector that we take, how digitally with a smartphone we can operate things and then get things done without any problem. Now that is something which will make the whole operation of credit banking. It is individual credentials. Now we talk about things like, see, these are the 5 major things that some of them we are talking about here. Is academic bank of credits, multidisciplinary and skill-based education. Multidisciplinarity, what it really operationalizes means is that if I study in this college and I would like to do music as a course, I should be able to take it whether you offer it or not. But of course the institution can say we can offer only this much. You cannot offer all the large list of courses here for your undergraduate program. So what will you do? You will have to do it in a different mode. Can we integrate modes? We can do it. Because you can always take, already Government of India is talking about MOOCs, and 20% or whatever number of MOOCs can be added to the face-to-face courses. So then if MOOCs have to be there, how do we help? A learner can take a MOOC course and get a credit from there. And that is possible because we are having that technology today to do that. And lateral entry and exit, if learners are coming in every year, first year, second year, third year, they can go out every year. I mean, whether I have understood the policy fully, I don't know, we can discuss it further today. And then how are we going to manage that? The credential management of students should be possible with the technology, because then the learner should become the center of the everything. Not the teacher, not the institution, not Government of Kerala, not Government of India. It is the learner, which the learner should be able to take courses and use it. Some of them in this college, some coming from outside, some may be outside the country. Because technology is not restricted to the network. Digital network is not restricted to only India. You can take courses from outside. MOOCs which are offered by Stanford University, one should be able to take it, why not? These are the type of things. I just want to touch upon, I don't want to go into all the details, just about 5 minutes more I'll take on the curriculum design, because that is my area. So I thought I should tell more about that. This is a classroom from 14th century. Okay, which I got from the Google, and this is a modern classroom with all technology. You can see that on that, but there is a lot of similarity. Is there? Yes, but all classrooms are not like that. I am happy to see that the way it is arranged, this seminar is very different. I think that's a very important thing. Sometimes seminars you don't find in this manner. You will find only people sitting in a just like just like this, for example, isn't it? And this is something which from Indian classroom, which is available today. This is the classroom which is normally you may find in the colleges. But you will also find classrooms of this sort. This is very important. I mean, you may think, how does it matter that people sitting in this manner or that manner, they are all learning, they are individual learners. It matters. I mean, I am sure we can debate or discuss on that. But because the design of learning itself will be different. It is not the teacher going and teaching. And here is in a group, small children, a small group, I mean the students. But then individually also the person will be, individualized learning also may take place. So that is the way the classrooms are going to change. I mean, it's not just the furniture part I am talking about. We'll come to that. What actually will get changed, we'll come to that. But the way that it is organized also will change according to, if we want to achieve some of those things that we are emphasizing in the policy itself, that there will be more of interaction, there will be more of, for example, achievement of these skills, the 21st century skills. This is it is not just the content that it will be taught, and there will be questions asked, and the testing will be very different. But you cannot have only theory being tested. You have to have the skills tested. You have to have the critical thinking tested, collaboration, communication. All these are very important because all these are important for the life of the child, of the learner. Then only they can become better citizens, productive citizens in the society. So need for pedagogic transformation is something which is very, why I am bringing it, that is something which concerns on each and every one of us. That is where we are. This is the real issue. The way that we were teaching earlier, the way we will be teaching now. And it is not that the policy is there, so we have to teach that way. Last 20 years, people have been, educational research also has been showing that it should be more of this sort. But it never happened until, what happened? Until the pandemic came in. And it was a disruptive experience that we had in the pandemic. That we were all told that no, students are not going to come into they will be all outside. How are you going to teach? So we thought of how can we do that, and etc. The whole thing got disrupted. You all know, the teachers who have been teaching know about that. So now that is going to be the, as people call it, as what do you call, new situation. We are not going back to the pandemic, and that's the right time that the policy came in. Policy came in after the pandemic came in. In fact, policy but couldn't, during the pandemic, policy couldn't take into account all the problems and all the experiences of the pandemic. If it had done that, probably it would have been better, but we can operationalize it. After all, it is not a one-time policy, we can work on that. And so digital technology can facilitate creating an online learning community. In fact, the online learning community is what you created during the pandemic time. Now, how can you do it in a better way now and incorporate the needs of what the policy says? This is what we have to look into. So, I mean, I will not take much time, but I just want to put it. This is how a classroom will look as I perceive. One is that you have also the classroom interaction. Classroom is there, we are not telling you should not have these buildings, let them all be at home and study from there. No, that may not be the right solution. There will be an institutional structure and resource support, like what is being given, is to be given. There will be connectivity here, internet can be accessed, and offline offer of things can be done here, and there will be also an online connectivity, to the learning community. Learning community is basically those 50 students who are there, and they are connected among each other. Okay, because you have all social media things are there. If not WhatsApp, something else government can create as a platform, and then that is available with every. They can interact among themselves, and then of course you have an external resources from anywhere in the world you can access. The open educational resources. In the last 20 years, the development in open educational resources have been immense. Today, if you want to know anything, what do we do first? We go to Google, just put it there, you get the answer. You don't have to. So, Why should that learner think of that, oh, I will go and ask the teacher tomorrow in the classroom? Doesn't happen. It is there. So that comes from outside even the immediate community. And for that, the learner-centered it will be, because the learner is the one. Every learner has to learn, and their combination of courses will also be unique. Every learner will have its own. Not that everybody will be taking physics, chemistry, and mathematics. No, that will change. There will be so many other courses and everything. The college may even say, you can take it, but we have not offered it. But then he will take it. He should be able to take it. And then, of course, the blending of online and offline learner engagement. And teacher's role, his teacher's word itself may have to be changed. We should not change it, but we become facilitator. The learner-centered, teacher-facilitated, decentralized, institutionally autonomous learning environment is what is to be created, and that is the decentralized. Today when we talk about any resources to be stored, we only think about SWAYAM. SWAYAM is at the national level. The state can have its own resource repository. The institution can have its own resource repository. Whatever created can be put into the repository. So that is how. So all can be used by the learner to study. Then all the multidisciplinarity, this thing, all can be operationalized. That's what I wanted to say. I don't want to take more time. Just to conclude, and of course the technology issues are there. And another, I'll just conclude with telling, more of decentralization is a must. Then only we can achieve some of the thing. Institutional teacher learner autonomy important. Rigid policies and structure that everything will happen. If it is Tuesday, it must be Spain. There is an old film that I remember seeing. That in the same way, if it is Tuesday, it is this particular topic that will be taught all over the country. Cannot happen. You cannot have the same curriculum, same this. It has to be decentralized, whether we like it or not. And when you talk about interactivity, it is not vertical interactivity we are talking about, that we will interact with SWAYAM or we will interact with vertically. We will interact horizontally. Students are interacting among themselves with the community, and they can learn from there. Thank you so much. I am sorry I took probably more time than required. Sorry about that. Thank you. This is the problem when you invite somebody who has not been teaching for long. So he gets an opportunity to talk. Thank you, and I really am happy that I could come over and talk to each other. I mean, if we can interact, I will be here till the afternoon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for part of his busy schedule. Hearty welcome, sir, to Al-Ameen College. Moving on to lighting the lamp ceremony, I request Dr. K.C. Sunny, Vice Chancellor of NUALS Kochi, and other distinguished personalities on the dais to step forward to light the traditional lamp. This marks the beginning of our two-day national seminar hosted by IQAC of Al-Ameen College, Edapala. I humbly invite Professor Dr. K.C. Sunny to deliver the inaugural address.
Most respected Professor Dr. Mohan B. Menon, respected Amarji Kumar, respected Principal and respected Manager of the institution, respected Principal, Professor Dr. Sini Kurian, respected Manager, Dr. Junaid Rahman, other faculty members, and dear participants of the seminar. I am extremely happy to be the part of the seminar. One peculiarity of the seminar is that you have invited seasoned experts for the seminar. We have with us Dr. Mohan B. Menon. I met Mohan B. Menon nearly 1996 or 1998. I think 98. In connection with the establishment of open school system in Kerala. There was a seminar. At that time, though I was a university teacher, I was not aware of this concept of open school. After hearing the presentation of Dr. Mohan Menon, I got clear idea regarding this open school system and relevance of open schools in our education system. And Dr. Amarji Kumar is there. We are colleagues because I am basically from Central University of Kerala, also of Central University. Now I am serving as the Vice Chancellor. After 3 months I may go back to Central University of Kerala. And I have fully experienced the expertise of Dr. Amarji Kumar. Coming to another aspect, Sajjad Ibrahim. I was in Kalyota campus of Kerala University for 28 years. There, Dr. Sajjad was my colleague. So, you are fortunate enough to have seasoned experts as resource persons. I use the term seasoned experts deliberately. There is another type of experts, seasoned experts. For example, in my discipline, that is law, if funds are for human rights, every law teacher will become or pretend to be an expert in human rights. Suppose after 3 years funds are for IQAC, same person will pretend to be an expert in intellectual property rights. Suppose in the next season, funds are for gender justice, same person will pretend to be an expert of gender justice. Even the next season, funds are for local governance, same person will pretend to be an expert in local governance. So, when we are conducting seminars and for other academic activities in connection with implementation of new education policy, my simple advice is that be aware of this seasonal aspects. I am happy in saying that you have identified seasonal aspects for the seminar. You have heard Dr. Mohan B. Menon. I am going to hear Dr. Amarji Kumar. So I will take only 3 to 4 or maximum 6 minutes for my presentation. And actually, basically I am from the Faculty of Law. Before that, I did my degree, BSc Physics. So I have only limited knowledge in education, but I have some knowledge in education acquired through kitchen, dining hall and bedroom. Because after my marriage, my wife did her BA, then MA and PhD in education. So I got some idea Cairo, then this Bloom, etc. Because in LLM course, also there is one paper, legal education. For that purpose, I read all these things, and late Mama Menon also advised that Sunday you may read all these books, especially this Bloom and other things. Anyway, then coming to the theme of the seminar, I would only like to add few words regarding this component multidisciplinary and skill-based approach. Actually, multidisciplinary approach is essential for any subject. I had the opportunity to conduct 8 refresher courses in human rights. In that human rights course, there are teachers from literature, fine arts, physical education, science, social sciences, education, law, etc. Actually, human rights is a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary subject. Because, generally speaking, at the time of introduction of this topic, human rights, the idea of general public was that human rights are those rights that can be claimed by criminals against police. That was the concept. Now that concept is changed. Basically, human rights are values. Values which are essential for individual and collective well-being of human rights. That are human rights. And if human right is a tree, it has its roots in history, theology, philosophy, and political science. Law may be, a legal system may be treated as a step. Then, all academic disciplines are its branches. Because there is right to what? With a discussion with myself or Dr. Ahmed, right to water cannot be, the concept, the right to water cannot be implemented. For that purpose, dams may be constructed. Service of civil engineers is essential. Then, water may be retained. For that purpose, service of hydrologists is essential. Then, for taking care of this management aspects are essential. So, for the purpose of realization of right to water, we have to seek the assistance of all academic disciplines. Then, social science, literature, everything has its relevance for the purpose of protection and promotion of human rights. Some academic disciplines have substantial role in the matter of protection of human rights. Other academic disciplines have relevance in the matter of promotion of human rights. So what is needed is an holistic approach. So in the document dealing with this national education policy, several pages, this holistic approach is included. Then, Respected Mohan Menon identified that in the matter of learning things, we must give preference to the learner's taste. Interestingly, sometimes learners may not be identified, they may not be able to identify the skills they have, potential they have. I will share one experience. When I was in Kerala University Karyuta campus, in connection with the Human Rights Day celebration, we announced a cartoon creation competition for college students. And we booked a press club, journalists are there, made arrangements, and newspaper notification was given that such and such a date, I think December 9, this Human Rights Day is December 9. At 9 a.m., nobody reported. Then I contacted one of my students. Now he is the principal of Law Academy Law College. At that time he was in Government Law College, Thiruvananthapuram. His name is Harindran. Harindran, this is the position. Can you identify some law students having the capacity or having the talent of creation of cartoon to participate in this competition? students have this talent. Students have this talent or have this type of creativity. That aspect may also be in our mind. As rightly pointed out by Mohan Menon sir, in the matter of learning we have so many permutations and combinations. In our life also we have so many permutations and combinations. Because the basic difference between life of animals and life of human beings is that the life of animal is confined to eating, sleeping and reproduction. That is it. So, that type of activities alone. But in human life, we have so many permutations and combinations, like the sports, within sports, different type of sports, arts, different type of arts, education, expedition, exploration, in so many things. Same freedom must be given to the students in the matter of learning course. For that purpose, my only suggestion is that we have to develop a new campus culture. Especially, as far as possible, residential facilities should be given. Library may be opened up to 11 o'clock. In my institution, that is a residential university, so that is a small university. We are providing. Second thing is skill-based learning. Because in US we have implemented this skill-based learning. Actually, we independently started initiatives. Then UGC published this G1000. So immediately within 1 month we implemented it. Now we have two credit courses, communication skills in the first semester, then this communication skills in the first semester, professional skills in the second semester, then management skills in the third semester, and universal human values in the fourth semester. I will share only one experience and then stop. This skill-based learning was introduced 3 years back. That is immediately before pandemic. Then we arranged so many programs for communication skills, debates, destination program, then several other programs. So many things arranged because we did homework and arranged all these things. I personally supervise these things. Then 2 hours are allotted per week. We are allotted for skill-based learning. Students say it as SPL hours. Immediately after completing my LLM course, I started teaching. That was in 1986. So I have nearly 36 years experience as a teacher. Throughout my life as a teacher and as a student, my experience is that if we say that 1 hour is free, students will be happy. After started this skill-based learning, after 1 month, students called me, sir, this week we have no SPL hours. Students are complaining, lodging complaint about the failure of the administration to conduct this SPL classes. That is my experience. Now these students are in the 3rd semester, and for the purpose of implementation of this management skills and human rights, this universal human values, our strategy suggested by UGC is that you may engage the students for managing an event. So we engage the students for managing a research project. We divided the students into 8 or 9 groups. Then they conducted research based on some certain issues like the right of the prisoner, something like that. Then they demanded that some amount may be granted for data collection. Executive Council was kind enough to grant nearly 3,000 to 5,000 rupees for the purpose of data collection. Then second semester, this human rights. Second semester we asked them to prepare the report, taking into account of the fact that universal human values are very important I think, because I am the dean of the faculty of law of UGC, the position in UGC, that is supposed to be a university taking very speedy decision. The position in UGC is that they appointed a committee for the purpose of talking about plan of action for implementation of Jeevan Council. My suggestion is that this Jeevan Council will be implemented. Then learning itself will be an enjoyment for the students. I am not taking much of this time because experts are here. With these words I am concluding. I declare this seminar being inaugurated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspirational words. Next, we have our guest of honor, Professor Dr. K.M. Sajjad Ibrahim, who has joined us online. He is the Director of UGC-HRDC at University of Kerala. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir, to Al-Ameen College. Sir, I request you to share your thoughts on this wonderful occasion. Sajjad sir, is it audible? Can you hear us?
Can I speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it is not. Is it audible?
It's audible, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry because I am inability to attend the meeting. Because I am already in a meeting and the program, and I have already another novel for the same purpose. Okay. I don't know how many dignitaries are there in the dais. Of course, I know that Professor Sunny, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Law University is there. So
Yes.
I addressed him, and also other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, and friends, teachers, and students. Okay. It is a matter of prestige for the UGC-HRDC University of Kerala to collaborate with the programs with all education institutions. It is a policy of UGC also, because whenever it is possible to have a kind of collaborations with all other similar institutions to promote different topics. Of course, the kind of topics that you are going to discuss, I understand, is on new education policy. As you know that new education policy has been introduced in the year 2020 and still in the formative stage. A lot of discussions have been going on. According to UGC, we have to conduct as many deliberations, conferences on the particular theme for better understanding of the objectives of university, UGC. I'm not telling whether it is beneficial or not. Of course, there are a lot of merits and demerits in the policy initiative UGC related to the new education policy. Two sides of it, because every initiative, every policy must have a positive side as well as negative side, right? So it is your duty to identify the kind of issues in the new education policy, and you have to come out with appreciation as well as a critical remarks on the initiatives by the Human Resource Ministry related to the new education policy. It's very important because it's a kind of total restructuring of the educational policy, educational structure of India. So this must be, we have to take into consideration this as a very important matter. Okay. Anyway, I wish you all the best because I'm traveling because after my program from one place to another, so I'm not going for the details. The HRDC is promoting and providing all type of support to all the institutions who are ready to support or ready to collaborate with us. No problem. Once again, I thank you. I thank each and every one who are present here, especially the organizers, for collaborating. collaborating with us and the kind of great initiative that you have taken in this direction. I would like to conclude with these remarks because it is online. I know the limitation of speaking many minutes here. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We have come to the end of the inaugural ceremony. Thank you to each one of you for gracing this occasion. We will be starting with our first technical session after a short tea break. Tea and snacks have been arranged right outside the seminar hall. Please help yourselves. Thank you.
My dear fellow participants, as we all know, we are moving to the first technical session of the national seminar, Reforms in Higher Education Post-NEP 2020, Challenges and Opportunities, jointly organized by Al-Ameen College, Edathara and UGC-HRDC, Thiruvananthapuram. And for this session, we have with us Professor Dr. Amut Kumar, Professor from Central University, Kasaragod. He is a research awardee of UGC New Delhi and has published 7 books and has several research papers for his credit in national and international journals. He is an expert in critical theory in education, neoliberal policies in shaping the stakeholders of education. And he prefers to combine quantitative and qualitative approaches in research. With great honor and pleasure, on behalf of Al-Ameen College, Edathara and UGC-HRDC, Thiruvananthapuram, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. And also we have Mohan sir with us. I also extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. And also I would like to welcome all my dear fellow participants to this session. And I am sure that you will be enriched with great knowledge after the completion of this session. Once again, welcome to you all and hope that you will have a great time ahead. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks for the welcome, Sri Shanu. Dear respected principal and Principal Dr. Srini Kudian Madam, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Lina Varghese, Manager Dr. Junaid Rahman, Professor A.M. Sujal Ibrahim, Professor K.C. Sannisa, and my dear respected Mohan sir, and other participants over here. Thanks for inviting me to share my thoughts about new national education policy and the way this new national education policy would shape our future higher education. In fact, we believe that every college is being governed by itself. Say for example, if it is Al-Ameen College, Al-Ameen College is being governed by the principal, by the manager, maybe in a beautiful way. But when we look more deeply into this particular fact, we could see that every college is not being governed by itself, but it is being governed by further bodies above them. Say for example, the management and principal of this college become an instrument for governing through the norms and criteria which are prepared by state government and national government. So in a way, when we speak about it, we can say that this college management and principal are just instruments for governing this institution. By following the norms and principles of a national level and state level government and other bodies. And when you look at the kind of changes which are happening in the area of higher education, we can see that whether it is left government or right government, whether it is BJP government or Congress government, whatever it be, there is a perfect continuum of the changes which we are seeing in India. And this is not only true in India, but we can see that these changes which are happening in the higher education system is true across the globe. So when I say that the college and college management and the principals are just instruments of the policies of state and national level bodies, national level organizations, we can say that state governments and central governments are being governed by national level policies, international level policies and ideas. So when we look at this particular situation, we can see that higher education is now being not nationally governed or state level governed, but higher education is being globally governed. There is a global governance prevailing in higher education system. To a larger extent, I would say that even at school level, we can see a global governance of education. A simple example I would say is sometime back in 1993, India has participated in an international testing which is called as PISA testing by OECD. OECD is an international organization who conduct every year testing. International test about the quality of school education system. So nearly 80 institutions, 80 countries participated in 1993. India's position was 39 among the 80 institutions at school level, quality of school level education. OECD report. India immediately withdrew from PISA testing, declared that next year we are not going to participate. So every 3 years they conduct this testing, and it is through this testing Finland and Hong Kong are declared as the best countries with highest quality of education. Immediately, while coming to know that our position is 79 out of 80, India withdrew from PISA testing. But what happened after that? India has unleashed vehement criticism against the PISA testing, the way it has been conducted, the cultural influence of the PISA testing, the socio-economic parameters, it has been considering, all these kind of criticisms were in the air. And then India definitely has all the choices to withdraw from this kind of testing, but it's a sovereign country. What happened after that? After that, withdrawing from the PISA testing, our experts in NCERT and our experts at national level started looking into OECD curriculum in every regular intervals. All kinds of educational changes at school curriculum at a national level which are being brought into India whereby either directly or indirectly copied from the OECD's syllabus of PISA testing. So even if India is not participating in PISA testing, India's school education system followed without much deviance from the OECD syllabus. So the syllabus revision that happened afterwards was in alignment with the syllabus of PISA testing. So in an expectation that over a period of 10 years or 20 years we will be able to scale up our position in the PISA testing. Which means that India being a sovereign country or America being a sovereign country, X or Y, Z countries are sovereign countries, it has all the privilege of shaping its own education policy. But directly or indirectly, these policies of the nations are being influenced by international movements. Same happens in higher education as well. In case of Indian higher education system, in 1993 we have seen a volley of changes in higher education system in India. Like NEP came up in 1993. After 1990s, we can see that a spate of changes has occurred in the higher education system of India. The NEP is just a intervention in 1993, and I would say that NEP is not just something which has happened out of Indian reflections and pondering about whether we need an organization for improving the higher education system of India. NEP was actually a continuation of the global changes that happened at the international level. And you see that a lot of regulatory agencies become introduced or become powerful during 1990s. So for example, AICTE was introduced by the British government. It was working as an advisory body to the government of India even after the independence. But in 1990s, AICTE gains regulatory power so that it can decide whether an engineering college can work or open or closed. So this regulatory power was not there earlier. NCTE, National Council for Teacher Education, which decides regulations for the teacher education, become functional in 1993. And Medical Council of India, another regulatory agency, becomes so powerful, which was even been constituted and founded by British government during 1930s as an advisory body for the government of India, was continuing as an advisory body till 1990s, but become a very powerful regulatory body in 1990s. All these changes are not just casual changes or spontaneous, kind of changes, but which has followed a definite continuum of changes that have happened across the globe. So we are being not governed at state level. We are not being governed at national level, but we are being governed internationally. That is the truth. How a teacher should be in the next 5 years is not being decided at the national level, but it is being decided at national level based on the international changes. So national prerogative in shaping the nature, quality of an institution, behavior of a teacher, quality of a student is a wonderful thing that we can debate and discussions in the college level seminars and all these kind of things. You do a lot of debate about changing the teachers, nature of work and quality and all this, but ultimately this kind of policies can never escape or evade the influences of the larger clutches which is being extended from the international sources. That's what when we talk about new national higher education policy, National Education Policy 2020, we believe that it is a national policy, but this national policy is essentially an international policy as well. Which doesn't mean that when we say about international, we believe that everything international is of high quality. I do not know when we say that in a seminar, we say that it is national seminar, international seminar, something of that sort. And when we see an international expert, we feel a kind of pride for the institutional people, and we call it as an international seminar. I do not know whether we call a crocodile a national crocodile and an international crocodile. A crocodile is a crocodile. But when we see a person from outside, we say we have a different kind of an aura for that particular person, and this is all part of our system. What I wanted to say is this new national education policy is essentially also an international product. Now I'm sure that you will understand what I meant by international. It's also an international product shaped by the international policies, international interests, and international, changes are being very well reflected in the national policy on higher education that we see today. Being an aided college, which has been affiliated to the university, affiliated to Mahatma Gandhi University, I would say that one of the most important concern of these colleges is that what will happen to an aided college maybe in the coming future after the implementation of this particular policy. This policy very definitely says that after the implementation of this policy, within 15 years, there will not be affiliated colleges after 15 years. Which means 2020 it was implemented, then probably by 2035 there will not be any affiliated colleges. So nearly 13 years are left with us. Al-Ameen College sometimes will become either a university or a class 1 autonomous institution or class 2 or class 3. I do not know the fate of it. Fate has to be decided. Maybe you have a role in deciding the destiny of this college in that way. But one thing is sure, every institution has to become an autonomous college or a constituent college of a university. Anyway, being a constituent college of a university is not possible for Al-Ameen College, and based on the KSR, Kerala education rules and the relevant provisions which are providing in the state, the only option for Al-Ameen College would be to become an autonomous college. Either an autonomous college or to become a university. So the question is whether Al-Ameen College is prepared to become a university is one of the most important questions. And this question is not a question only to Al-Ameen College, but this question is being posed to all the aided colleges and all the government colleges presently existing in India. So this new national education policy has been given 3 levels of autonomy. Grade 1 autonomy, grade 2 autonomy and grade 3 autonomy. So grade 3 autonomy gives you autonomy for either conducting the examination, conducting the syllabus, preparing the syllabus, definitely with a presence of the university's nominee. You can revise the syllabus. In grade 2 autonomy, you will not have any university nominee. You can start a course of your own. Say for example, tomorrow you wanted to start tourism management course, you can definitely start without seeking the approval of the government, without seeking the approval of the university. You can definitely start an autonomous college. And grade 3 autonomy means you can start, all these privileges are there. In addition to that, you can start new study centers. Say for example, Al-Ameen College can start a new campus at Thiruvananthapuram or even at Malappuram or even at maybe Asimgarh or wherever you want it. You can have a new campus. This is the grade 3 autonomy's most important privilege. Otherwise, you have to become a university. So the question is, how do a college, which is working as an aided college or a government college, with its existing facilities, with its existing human resources, with its existing administrative system, and without having a particular code like ordinances, regulations and statute and so on, will become a new autonomous university or other autonomous institution is a big question that Kerala is going to face in the near future. That we have faced several agitated turmoils in Kerala, like pre-degree shifting, pre-degree detachment into +2 and medical strike, all this kind of strikes we have witnessed. Similarly, another important issue that government of Kerala has to consider is how to shift these institutions into autonomous or institutions of independent existence. What an institution has to do for that, what the government has to do for that, what the teachers has to do for that, and what kind of changes to be made at state level, national level, all these questions has to be debated and a settlement has to be come up within next 5 years. And this NEP says that if the institutions are not ready to be converted into either an autonomous or a university level institution, the affiliating university has to become a mentor of the college for becoming an autonomous, which means that MG University has to become a mentor for nearly how many colleges under MG University? Nearly 100 or 200, even more than that. Probably, isn't it? Including aided and self-financing and government. It will be more than 500 or so, I believe. So a single mentor for 500, 700 colleges, I do not know how MG University is going to do the wonder to convert these institutions into an autonomous institution. And Kerala University is another university. Kannur University is another university. All these universities doesn't have the staff for even completing the semester examinations and publishing the results on time. So what strategy or what magic our government, state government would bring in is something which we have to wait and see. And if it doesn't happen, definitely the funding to the state government, funding to the colleges will be facing a check by UGC, University Grants Commission. Even now, University Grants Commission has introduced a policy like if the university or the institution has B++, this is the total funding. If it is A, this will be the total funding. If it is A+, this is the funding. So it is on the basis of grading funding is been designed for making the institutions more and more competitive. So if an institution is not an autonomous, I am definitely sure that the funding will be almost zero. State government has to fund the institution fully for function. So this is an important issue that the government has to face, and of course all the colleges also has to face. What a college can do to push itself into an autonomous institution, to push itself into a university, is another important thing that at the college level teachers has to debate in the light of the existing policies, in the light of the existing rules and regulations, and in the light of the existing quality parameters. These are very important for an institution to survive. And I am definitely sure Al-Ameen College, if this policy is going to be implemented very strictly, and if in spite of the government changes, I definitely should. In spite of the government change, don't think that even the government changes, policy will change. It will not change. I told you, these changes are the resultant of an international level changes, and which is essential to be conducted. It's not that one government has to implement it. Little, tinkering they can do it inside by including this and that and all this kind of thing. But the 90 or 95% of the changes which are coming in are not at the discretion of the governments, but at the discretion of the international interests. And this is an important issue that this new national education policy posed before the aided college system. Affiliated college system, not talking about aided college, affiliated college system, which include both self-financing and other. And this has to be read in continuation to another important suggestion in the policy. It says that the new national education policy wanted to raise the total enrollment at the national level in 2020. It was nearly 26.3%. Now it is nearly around 27% in 2022. To be in 50% enrollment ratio in 2030. 2030 is just 7 years away from now. Yeah, I think it's almost October. We need not count, this year now, October, November, and December. By 2030, the enrollment at higher education level has to become 50%. This is a wonderful suggestion in a way. But since since independence, when you look at the Indian higher education system, when we gained independence in 1947, how many colleges we had, and over the period of time, nearly around 1,000 colleges were there at that time. Then over this period of time, in 2020-22, when we look at the total number of colleges, we have nearly 45,000 colleges in India and 1,000 plus universities in India, including private deemed universities. 1,000 plus universities and 45,000 colleges. With this 1,000 plus colleges and 45,000 colleges and 1,000 plus universities, we were able to gain an enrollment ratio of 27%. So if we wanted to double it to 50%, 27 means almost we have to double it. Nearly 23%. We need nearly, if it is now, with this we have attained 27%. If you wanted to double it, our universities also has to double it. If it is 1,000 now, it has to be somewhere nearly 2,000 universities. And if it is 45,000 colleges, it has to be nearly, again, another 40,000 colleges to be added. Will this is going to happen in India? What do you think about it? Will this happen? Doubling the number of universities and doubling the colleges. Will this happen in 7 years? Definitely no. At least I would say that there is no, sand, and there is no bricks, there is no rock available for the construction of the building. This much number of buildings and universities. And that is the point where the new national education policy brings in the concept of massive online open courses. Doubling the higher education system, doubling the enrollment ratio, and it is been now introducing fully online programs. No, not even a single day a student has to come to a university, and fully online programs can be given when he or she is working in an institution or an organization. They can pursue a course. Fully online. All the A-graded universities in India can now start online programs. Central University of Kerala also is going to start new online programs. Instead of distance education programs, now it will be online programs. So which will ease out many of the difficulties of a distance education program by sending the whole study materials to somewhere, and then contact classes on Sundays, Saturdays, and all this different. And I'm informed that this college also is a center of IGNO, which is conducting Sunday, Saturday classes and all. There is no such hazels in an online program. There is no classrooms are needed. Can be conducted in an online online program. Online interaction sessions can be conducted. Lessons can be given to the students by video and video links, and then examinations can be conducted at online. Like proctored examinations are coming up. The softwares are coming up. Say for example, if the student's eye movement goes to the left or maybe to the right, it will be capturing. Software will be catching the eye movements of the student, so that it can ensure that whether the student is copying or not. So in how many seconds the eye movements are changing. So this is called as proctored examination system. So even for invigilation of the examination, the teacher is not needed. So proctored examinations are coming. So the MOOC is the solution for raising government this 27% to 50%. And if MOOC is going to be a success in our education system, I am sure that our higher education in 2030, you need not have to wait till 2030. I'm sure that maybe by if it is going to be so famous in 2023, 24 or something like that, by 2027 to 28, our enrollment ratio will grow up to 90%. There is no doubt about it. Because students can work and at the same time they can learn. And also there is a provision that says that The degrees which are being offered through regular mode and online mode are treated in par, equal. There is no difference, like the distance education programs today. So they will be treated equal. So that there is where this concept of massive open online courses are coming up. Nearly 5 years before, UGC has brought in a policy that 20% of the total course credits can be taken from the MOOC program. And then teachers were given points for contributing into any of the quadrants of the MOOC creation, like either writing the content or maybe presenting the content or maybe, editing, all this kind of different quadrants. Teachers were quite passionately involving into this process of MOOC. When they get a chance, it's a chance for raising their total credits. Say for example, APS score also will increase. It gets some points so that you are, jumping into this, enthusiastically jumping into this MOOC related activities. And also it gives you immense of money, like, when you contribute one video lecture for half an hour, you get 5,000 rupees, and then TADA, all this kind of, it's reasonably good amount of money which you are getting. Now, as the second step, now UGC has announced that 40% of the total credit can be from MOOC now. 40% of the total credit can be from the MOOC. Which means that a student in Al-Ameen college need not pursue all the courses from Al-Ameen college, but instead he or she can attend only 60% of the courses in Al-Ameen college and dedicate 40% of the courses in MOOC, massive open online courses. Which means that to a great extent Al-Ameen college will become a part-time college. If they are spending 40% outside, they did not spend their 100% on the campus. So you have to make necessary arrangements for that. You have to do the necessary arrangements for that. So the student can work and earn and all these kind of facilities has to be arranged. And another important consequence, which many of the youngsters would be a little worried about is that when maybe a teacher, maybe in 10 or 15 years, some teachers will be retiring from here, maybe Alina will be retiring, Dr. Sruthi will be retiring, maybe 10 or 15 years or 20 years. Al-Ameen college would not be in a position to appoint a new position in lieu of the retired teachers because 40% is from MOOC. If there are 10 teachers in a particular degree program, teaching in a particular degree program, all the 10 teachers joined together are being engaged in teaching a group of students, and if 40% is being taken away, nearly some out of 10, literally saying 4 teachers are free then. Out of 10, 4 teachers are there. This is just a calculation for your understanding. Then maybe after over the years, some teachers retires means without filling up the institution can do work without any problem. Because it's in MOOC. We are running 40 in MOOC and only 60 in online, on regular mode. And who knows over the period of time, because maybe pressure, MOOC can even grow up from 40%. So that can also be going to be a reality. And what happens as a result of it, if the teachers are quite strict in their classrooms, they wanted the presentations on time, very strict, and also of course if your teaching is a little boring for the students, not for you, for the students, and they would definitely decide that I'm not going to take a class of this teacher. Instead that class I will take from MOOC. So X course will have an equivalent course in the MOOC SWAYAM program in course of same time as Mohan sir suggested. States also will start MOOC programs, repositories. They are also planning to start repositories, and then gradually not only this SWAYAM and state level courses, but international courses like edX, Coursera, all this also will gain recognition over the period of time. they will also get recognition. So, huge basket of courses are available for you. Huge basket of courses are available. So, you have an equivalent course. You take some 4-credit course and bring the 4-credit course at the time of the examination and tell your teacher that I wanted to redeem this particular, I wanted to have the credit transfer of this particular course. You have to give it. So all these are in waiting, and I'm sure that these MOOC courses would dismantle this, or rather I would like to call it as a MOOCification of higher education, which I have written in the New Indian Express as an editorial article. MOOCification of higher education would result in dismantling of the concept of teacher. A teacher was a person who prepares, who delivers classes either in interactive mode or in lecture mode or whatever it be, will be doing that, and then evaluating the students, and then we result, publish, all these kind of factors. This is what is called as a teacher earlier. Now, if MOOCification is gaining its prominence in higher education, you know what will happen? A teacher, the concept of a teacher will be dismantled, will be disintegrated into a writing teacher, a presenting teacher, and an evaluating teacher, or even an organizing teacher. Which means that if you have good qualities, I told you when 50% of the credit or 40% of the credits can be taken from the MOOC, definitely all the teachers have a good scope in MOOC courses. Of course, another door is often there. You can contribute in MOOC. You contribute your course in the MOOC platform, and you get a large number of students, 1,000 students, 2,000 students, you accumulate at the national level or even at the international level. Of course, there are opportunities there for the teachers. But what happens is that when a course is being given to you, you have taken up a MOOC course, and you believe that you are a good writer, you write the courses, but you believe that your presentation would not be of that quality, so that I would say that this teacher's appearance or photogenic face and all these kind of things we used to say, she is more better in presentation, like her dressing, her accent is more better. My accent is something like, when Swati Tirunal was talking to Colonel Welsh, there is a story about Swati Tirunal. Colonel Welsh came to meet Swati Tirunal. He is very young boy at the age of 13. Swati Tirunal was talking like, I walked, I talked, something like this, pure Malayalam accent. And Welsh has written a letter back to the British, one of his friend, saying that his English is very impure, but he is a very talented boy. He was speaking about the Euclid, he was speaking about the hexagon, and different geometrical issues, and he told Professor Colonel Shell that Welsh that the word geometry has been originated from the Malayalam language, Sanskrit language. The word geometry has its origin from the Sanskrit, he was arguing, and which is being marked in one of the historical document, which is Travancore Manual, written by Nagamaya in 1965. Not 1865. Nagamaya has noted it. Travancore Manual. So if your accent is very bad, don't worry about it. Your good accented teacher is there somewhere nearby, English teacher. You sought her help or his help, and then make them present. So you are a writer, but your accent is poor, but your overall appearance is very, little. You believe that somebody else would be better than me in presentation, then you give it to them, outsource it to them. And then another teacher is there, they are good at evaluation, or neither good at presentation nor at writing. Then they will engage, because huge pile of soft copies are coming to you for evaluation. 1,000 students in a course, and all the 1,000 students submit some 10-page assignment, means who will evaluate it? So evaluation needs a specialist then. And still again one more area is coming up, say for example you have to conduct the code courses very systematically, announcement of the course, and then hosting the link to the students, communicating with the students, and interactive sessions to be fixed, and then it has to be conducted, all the kind of things which will necessitate another teacher, which is called as organizing teacher. So a teacher can be a writing teacher. You need not have to spend your time in presentation or evaluation. You have to completely write if you have good writing skill, so that the people will appreciate the quality of the material which is being given to the MOOC. And presenting teacher, and all these kind of changes are going to happen as a result of this. And since MOOC is going to be a true history, we believe that a kind of equity will be promoted at higher education level. But I have a small criticism about that MOOC's potential for equity. I do believe that when the MOOC comes up, and nothing is going to be free. Nothing is going to be free in an era which is that we are going to face. Even it has been said that the free GPS we are using now, GPS is going to be paid very soon. GPS. And Google, after a period of time, you have to subscribe the space. Now it's asking continuously sending messages to me, your space is almost done, please subscribe additional space. Or for a longer period of time it will be free. And when you are used to it, they will make a small charge. Now you are in a state you cannot abandon it. You need it become part of your life. You need it now. Then a small charge you will be ready to afford. And then MOOC definitely is going to be a great source of income for the institutions. And definitely MOOC also will be going to be an online service to be purchased or to be subscribed by the students. And when this happens, adding to this with the concept of academic bank of credit, which says that you can deposit your credit into an online banking system. A student who has with reasonably good, advisors at home, say for example, I can advise my daughter saying that you go and take a course in French, course in German, you take a course in music or maybe X, Y, Z, something of that sort. And also a student who is the son of a lesser educated person would be facing it difficult to advise his child to give the same kind of an advice that an educated person is very able to give to deal with the future of his child. So what happens, the social background and economic background of the student would become a pertinent factor in deciding the course. Which course would have more better opportunity? And which course would suit best for me? And the parents would be able to give an advice. You are good in that, you can opt this. The parents can advise, say for example. Maybe some parental families, there is a parental disconnect. Maybe because of their own, work and the life that they are living, would not be able to look deeply into the abilities of the child, so that their understanding and their estimation about their own child would not be. Of course, Sandy sir was talking about the student themselves was not able to understand the qualities, the abilities of that student possess, potential qualities. So then definitely the socio-economic factors, educational factors of the parents and family is coming into the picture in the selection of MOOC program. And definitely another important factor is the economic factor, I would say, in selection of the MOOC programs. When a student who is hailing from a reasonably rich family is able to do, say for example, 5 courses, if you have 5 devices, you can simply do 10 courses, because the classes coming at various times. One is edX course, one is Coursera course, one is from Swayam, one is from maybe yet another one. Say for example, it will never happen. You just imagine that you are doing 5 courses. The contact class of all the 5 courses courses come at the same time, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, you log in with your 3 or 4 devices, you can manage that. And also, course registration need a fee. 5 courses you can register with a fee, and then examination fee. All this kind of opportunities is being available to you, provided your economic status is good. So the question of equity and justice and propagating access to education and thereby ensuring equity in higher education through MOOC is something which needs to be further debated, because MOOC necessarily bring into socio-economic background of the children and economic background of the children very specifically into the picture, and thereby again the question of equity need to be debated and discussed in MOOC program as well. Something which we think that which will bring in easily the equity, the concept of equity and accessibility, the question of accessibility. Everything is open to you doesn't mean everything is accessible to you. We believe that all the answers for the questions, say for example now teachers never go to the library. You have a beautiful library here. People do say that some of the teachers used to say that now we don't have to go to the library, everything is in the fingertip. Even catalog also has been available through the department system. So you can check which book is available, which book is not available. Almost everything is being scanned and uploaded. Our Central University has a huge repository of the back files, backdated journals and all these kind of things. We can access it. People do see it as a pretext and saying that everything is available in the fingertip. But mind it, everything is not available in the fingertip. If you want to read an article of Michel Apple, under which Shyam Menon sir has did his PDF, you cannot get it from Google. You will not get it from Google. You need to subscribe Routledge. You need to subscribe Sage. You need to subscribe Taylor and Francis. So in this information era, there is a quality gradation in the information. All the lower level or substandard or maybe medium standard information would be available through the Google. But if you are looking into deep sense of knowledge or little more advanced level of analysis of something, Google will cheat you in that way. Will not give you. Or Google will sometimes will offer you showing the picture of Taylor and Francis and Professor Michel Apple sitting with a long beard, and then say that deposit maybe $50 and get this single article. So the question of equity, which is the major cause of introducing all this online system and MOOC courses, is something, in my personal opinion, need to be further debated. Now, how long time I can go? I think maybe. So another important movement in this regard is National Higher Education Qualification Framework, NEP, National Higher Education Qualification Framework. The new National Education Policy says that the qualifications across institutions, across states, has to be standardized. Standardization, the concept of standardization needs a little more, explanation, I believe. Standardization means it should be same here in MG University, it should be same there in Calcutta University as well, or in Delhi University. If you're doing a BA Economics program in MG University, now there is no way to believe that Calcutta University will accept it. So we have to go for approval, what is the course recognition, all this kind of process are there. Course recognition has to be done. You have to submit an application, then their board of studies will examine it, then dean has to endorse it, and all this kind of process are there. This has created a lot of hassles for the students to pursue their courses. So now what we need is, we need to standardize kind of thing. I mean, these courses across institutions, across states, across countries, at a larger way, I would say. This also has its origin at the international level, I would say. See, in 1985, at the international level, there had larger growth of qualified engineers at the international level. So America, England, Australia, Ireland, all these nations, UK, these 5 nations faced a severe crisis or shortage of qualified engineers. But of course, there were a lot of good engineers in India, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, or wherever it be, other nations. But these countries could not take them, seamlessly, mainly because the syllabus of engineering, civil engineering in India, doesn't match with the professional interest of America. Professional, jobs which has been assigned for, means been given to the students at these companies. So they have to further train them. A new certificate has to be given to them. A new national level test has to be conducted. Even now it is there. Say for example, the students who are coming from Ukraine after MBBS has to undergo a testing in India. And a MBBS student, MBBS graduate going from India to US, to practice they need to do a test, national level test, which is very difficult to pass. Pass percentage is very low for the foreign nationals there. Russian students come to India. So all these course recognition issues are there. Then in 1985, 5 nations joined together and they have signed a pact which was called as Washington Accord. Washington Accord. And this Washington Accord declared that the syllabus, we will standardize the syllabus of engineering in all the 5 countries. Which means that a civil engineer who is pursuing in UK can easily pursue a MTech, BTech in UK, can easily pursue BTech in Australia and America without any kind of difficulty. Okay, need not have to go for a further quality check. No need of further quality check. And also they can easily be employed. They can easily be employed. Now, one of my students she has got, a PhD admission in UK. And they said that we cannot approve your MBA, so you have to go for 1 year PG program. So this issue can be resolved when there is an international level collaboration and nations agree that our courses will be standardized. These 5 nations have standardized their engineering syllabus. It starts with engineering syllabus, The way they standardized is that they decided common learning outcomes and program outcomes. It is from there the concept of learning outcomes and program outcomes came up. So when you look deep into this particular issue, the idea of learning outcome and program outcome is not an academic outcome, means outcome which is coming out of academic discussion on quality, but it's an outcome which come out of the requirement of the industries to select young engineers. So it was an industrial interest, not an institutional interest, educational interest actually. That's what we see in most of our cases. Most of our problems are educational, but solutions are business or technological. Quality of a classroom is an educational problem, but when NEP comes, we can see that can be fixed with a wonderful professional, market support. A classroom, because NAC members are not going to sit through the whole classes of teachers. They will just come and go through. They will just breeze through. So they will just come and say that, okay, LCD projector is there, good, wonderful, furnitures are there, all these kind of things are okay. Minimum quality is there. Quality of a class basically means the quality of interaction between the teacher and the students, which NAC never will assess, because they don't have the time to do that. Then single assessment in a college will go for nearly 1 year. That's not possible. Foolish idea. So what happened, this institutions has, these 5 countries have standardized their learning outcomes, and then their engineering learning outcomes become internationally standardized, so they started exchanging their engineering graduates. Gradually, this idea of learning outcome has a flowing out of this engineering wing, engineering discipline has gone into even in language, social sciences and almost everywhere. Now NEP insists every institutions to fix outcomes in the syllabus. If there is no outcome, your mark is gone in the criterion 1. Now that has become the order of the day. So these particular changes wanted to standardize the qualifications across the country and across the globe. At least at the new national education policy says, at least at the level of the country, national level, the standardization has to be brought in. So new national higher education qualification framework was recommended by the national education policy, and a new committee was appointed for the national higher education qualification framework, NEP, which is called as NEP. And they have prepared a draft report, and that draft report was available for comments of the people in higher education, the public. I do not know how many of you have offered comments to that. So it was available for comments, draft was available. And this particular draft says that a student who is completing BA Economics, we used to say I'm a BA graduate. In an older Malayalam movie, there is a saying that BCom is not a very bad degree. BCom, I am BCom, I am MA, or I am pre-degree, I am PhD, something of that sort. If this new national higher education qualification framework is going to lift all this kind of terminologies, and which will say that if you have completed your 10th standard, you will be known as you are at the level 4. 10th standard is level 4. Then, 12th standard is level 4. 12th standard is level 4. Then you complete 1 year in degree, your graduate program, you will be called as level 4.5. Not degree 1 year, first year. We cannot say that degree, I am degree first year, isn't it? We cannot be, there is no usage, I am degree first year completed. Now you can say that, not in that language, but in a technical language, I am level 4.5. Then level 4.6. So then level 5, then level 5.5, means 3 years. So if a student was completed degree, would be in future known as level 5.5, not degree completed. Technically, they will be called as level 5.5. And then again going to PG first year 6, and then 6.5, and it goes like that. So this is going to be the new nomenclature for addressing the degrees, and under which the learning outcomes will be specified for ensuring that degree first year, that means level 4.5 of MG University, can be treated in par with the level 4.5 of Delhi University. So we just said level 4.5. You can after completing level 4.5 in MG University, you can go to Bhubaneswar, and you can go to Utkal University, join their level 5. So that is going to happen. All this kind of difficulties will be taken away about the counting of the recognition of the courses in one university to another university, and this huge change is rolling out. I do not know how many of us are aware about it. So I think with just one more point, I'll be just trying to winding it up. Because there are afternoon sessions as well. Even now I have taken almost 10 minutes more than which has been allotted to me. 15 minutes more than. But just one more point, I'll be just winding up. Another important point is the idea of tenure tracking in higher education system. Tenure tracking in higher education system. That means that the appointment of the teachers shall be on tenure basis. So tenure basis in the sense that you will be appointed for 5 years. Tenure, the number of years has to be fixed by the government, maybe probably for 5 years, for getting a continuity for 5 years. So 5-year tenure can be extended to another 5 years so that you can even work nearly maybe for 30 or 35 years, it doesn't matter actually. So this tenure tracking system is going to be introduced. So throughout the period, in US there is a kind of a system when we say that there is a tenure, I am a tenured professor means you are a permanent professor in US. When I was in US, one of the professor in the university, fortunately my tenure was declared, which means that he was permanent in the university system. But here there is slightly different kind of meaning. We are going to get tenure means for a temporary period of time, 5 years contract. And the new appointments would be definitely on the basis of the tenure tracking system. For all the new teachers will be on the basis of, but at the same time the new national education policy provides the freedom for continuing the permanent appointment. That also is there. But it all depends on the interest of the government. But usually, whether it is X government or Y government, a policy comes up which will have an economic benefit for the government. Government will opt out the policy which support them economically. Definitely not out. So for example, if pension policy is, governments would argue for and against, but one government will introduce pension policy, then the opposition government will disagree with that, protest it, but the next government will come, they will keep silence on it. That's what I said, these changes are national and international. Government changes doesn't affect policy changes actually. Even if we believe that it happens at local level, I was talking with Mohan sir, NCT level, one NCT director comes and do one thing, next NCT director will come and take away, will throw it away and he will do something. So this kind of a little changes will come, will happen, but at the national level, policies will have a definite continuity. Because those policies are perfectly backed and shaped. I want to say influenced, they are shaped by the international policy decisions. So in this tenure tracking system, it was being debated at the time of new national education policy. I asked Al-Ameen sir, and of course Shakila madam also, because Shakila Shamsu was the member secretary of the new national education policy. Madam, if there was a research scholar in your committee of national higher education, national education policy, would that committee member approve the concept of tenure tracking system for the teachers in higher education? This is how these policies are being influenced by the politics of the members of the committee. I would say, does it mean that politics, BJP politics, Congress, don't misunderstand that. The word politics, when I use it, has the meaning of only interest. You just consider it as synonym to interest. Why? Because all the members of the national education policy are either retired or at the brim of retirement or not even working in India. Say for Manjul Bhargava was from outside. Manjul Bhargava was not even working a single day in India. He is a professor, very renowned professor, even maybe sometimes, I don't know, international recognized mathematician, working in US. Most of his ideas are playing now in our new national education policy, Manjul Bhargava. So it's a wonderful academician in a way. So what I would say is that, this is the way this, I am sure that it is not the retirement or the age of the committee members has influenced this tenure tracking system, but instead they have been further influenced and shaped by an international interest. They are just instruments for passing this, current, like metal, for the passing the current. A government is a metal for passing the interest. Individuals are just, metals for passing the the current or maybe the power. Nobody has a kind of an escape from this kind of policies. And my mother used to say that even for the permanent teachers, I don't know what kind of changes are going to happen. Now there is a new proposal. If your total teaching service is 30 years, government will sometimes ask us to. This new policy is going to. It's in discussion. It's going to be implemented very soon. Total service is reaching 30 years. Some teachers would have 35 years of teaching, or maybe 40, at very young age. You will have a retirement, 30 years of service. That happens in military, that happens in BSNL, all these places they are trying to implement it now. So total 30 means, probably maybe 10 years or so I will be retiring then. So the total 30 years of services means. So, but even otherwise I would have been working for several more years as a teacher. So what I was thinking, what I wanted to say is that even the permanency of the regular appointment of the teachers is not going to be a great, protector of our future. My mother used to say that when, sometimes when she get angry, she will say that, I have the chakram of Sri Padmanabhan. As a usage in Thiruvananthapuram says that I have the chakram of Sri Padmanabhan because she gets a pension. That's her, kind of confidence she used to. And I used to ask her back a question. Suppose if there is a military coup in Delhi, what will happen to your chakram? Chakram will be stopped. Fortunately, Indians are quite fortunate in that way. What happened to the chakram for the people who are getting in Sri Lanka last year? It was stopped. Now chakram is ensured for the permanent teachers. So don't be in a complacence. Nothing is ensured. If there is a military coup, it's over. Or even a policy change, it's over. It's done. A policy change can change everything. You may shout here maybe for 2 days or maybe 1 week or 1 month, but the policy will be on its traction. So these are the changes which are going to happen. I am sure that I might have made a little kind of fear among the young teachers and the prospective teachers, but my attempt was to critically look into the policy and how it will contribute to our younger generation, and still the way in which we can improve. See, Paulo Freire used to say that, used to write that if you wanted to shape a future or a better creation of a better future, you should understand what is the problem with the existing. That's what Paulo Freire often used to say, that often the people are not able to understand a kind of an oppressive circumstances that envelop them. Instantly enjoy that actually, and that kind of a suppressive environment. We really do enjoy a suppressive environment. So unless you understand that this is an oppressive environment, say for example somebody lovingly hug you and then call you maybe Eda, Moda, Chakare, something of that sort, and then trying to implement their interest through you, you really enjoy the call of Eda, maybe hugging or something of that sort, and then you never understand that their interest is passing through you. So the first important duty is understanding the Dhritarashtra Alingana, and then only we can even think about it. Think about it. So such kind of thoughts has to become up. What a teacher has to do in a changing scenario, in what way we have to reshape ourselves, in what way we have to think about our own future. All this has to be the need of the hour, and I'm so happy that there was patient listening from the members, and that too in front of my very senior person who is equivalent to my Guru. Mohan sir is a contemporary or a classmate of my Guru, my PhD grade, and also his brother is like a mentor for me. Who was
there is no age limit to learn. One can always learn.
Yeah. like Shyamdanan sir is, whenever I come across a crisis, I message him. And he was former Vice Chancellor of Ambedkar University. There is one participant is there. And thank Leena for the invite, Dr. Srija, and many non-faces, but I could not recognize, I can't call your name. Thank everyone. I wish great success to all of you. Thank you.
Participants, if you have any questions, you may please ask. Looks like we don't have any questions. So thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts. It was indeed an eye-opening session. I think we have a question.
Yes, questions?
So my name is Jason. Work at physics department. Actually, I like the terminology that you used, mortification. If 100% mortification is possible, what about the social interactions of a student? I think campuses play a huge role in developing a person's social skills, something like that. So if 100% mortification is possible, is there any method to address such social situations?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question. In all the MOOC situations, MOOC courses, the social interactions and real life experiences of the students in the classroom is a big question. Often they are being denied with that. Of course, these social abilities and the real life experience that a student learns from the campus are more important than the real knowledge that they gain through the classes, actually. If you ask me the memories of my college life or school life, I would remember most of my memories outside the classroom with my friends and playing and all this kind of things. Unfortunately, MOOC, 100% MOOCification is not going to happen. That's what this NEP says. But MOOC is growing up. MOOC is growing up, and at the same time, online education courses also are growing up. Earlier, when this online education, open education system and distance education was framed, it was for those who could not complete their higher studies. At the same time, they are inquisitive to gain more knowledge. And all the period of time, the purpose of MOOC become, of course, this is one purpose, but institutions have tasted the economic taste of these courses. So almost every state university started distance education, not just to pacify the knowledge of the people, the knowledge thirst of the people, but to a great extent make money out of it. I'm sure that almost all the state universities have started open and distance education programs with a I would say kind of an interest of this sort. Of course, they openly doesn't say that this was the major. There are some open universities, there are some state universities who were running exclusively out of this open distance education income. So, such kind of courses definitely through MOOC definitely define the opportunity for a student to have a real campus life and real social life experience. I used to say, like, among, even now it's been quite common among our children also, our community also. When the children cries, small children cries, we cannot give always milk to them, so that instead of milk bottle, we give only the nipple into the mouth of the child. So which is called as pacifier actually. In US I have seen many people, pacifier is being tied into the cloth, so that whenever the child cries, immediately it will put into the mouth of the child. So child will stop crying immediately. But is it getting milk? No, it's not getting milk, but it is pacified. So this is what, to a great extent, is being given to our younger generation at the extreme sense that they are given a pacifier through MOOC. Pacifier is there. They have a feeling of having something, but the real thing is not there. I'm not fully criticizing MOOCs. Actually, MOOCs also are quite important. It's an advancement of the way we were interacting. It has its own credit. It has its own, benefit, definite benefit of educating those younger generation who wanted to work and learn and all this kind of thing. When such kind of opportunities are there, situations are there, MOOCs are quite essential. Well, it is going to be a massive program for almost everyone. The students will opt for MOOC instead of the regular program when they are when they are equal to each other. So this is a major threat. This is a major threat, that's what I said. Definitely, as you said, social experiences of the students are defined, which would be a big social offense as well.
I understand that many discussions are taking place in the government level to change the pattern of the courses that existing in aided colleges and universities. Actually, they are planning to convert it into a shift basis, something like that, to provide the opportunity for part-time job. My question is, see, if a student who is studying in Ernakulam, he will get chance for part-time education in Ernakulam. But a student who is studying in Shabrisha College or in a tribal sector, he won't be getting that chances. And we are saying that we have to standardize the pattern, we have to standardize the course. How can we, how the equity and accessibility, or how the inclusion of the disadvantaged sector is happening, or is there any alternative in NEP to address this issue?
No, that's a very important question actually. When I was just going back into one of the famous book which was written by Monk Ordinal, I believe, who start one of his book with a question whether education is a social responsibility or an individual responsibility. So this is the first question. The whole book is based on this particular question. Whether education is a social responsibility or individual responsibility. Individual responsibility means private responsibility. So the Keynesian model of education, idea of education, and then a Smithian model of education, all these kind of things are there, we know. If education is a social responsibility, government has to spend for education. The entire education should be the responsibility of the education. It means paying to the teachers, running of the institution, construction of the buildings, and almost everything should be the government's responsibility. If the education is a government responsibility. If education is an individual responsibility, then governments need not bother about it. Individuals will spend money so that when there are accumulated demand for education, automatically private agencies will build up the buildings and offer courses. Then government has to approve it. All these kind of things will happen. That's what happened in early phases of Kerala during 1800s, early years of 1800s. Early phase of 1800s, we can see that government, Sarkar, job was the major reason for sending children to the school at that particular period of time. When you go through the Robin Jeffrey and all these kind of things, you can see that. Education was an individual responsibility at that point of time to a great extent. We need Sarkar job, so I sent my child to the school. So many people do not have money to send, so they were not able to send. But after a particular point of time, education, this particular philosophy of education can gradually a transition, and then people started believing that education is an individual responsibility or a private responsibility. So if this is going to happen, your responsibility of educating the younger generation of our society is being taken away from the responsibility of the government. Individuals will spend money, they will learn, they will get the benefit out of it. So, if the government says that people can work and learn, looks like a beautiful idea that we are providing children opportunity to work at the same time they learn. This is definitely an evasion of the responsibility of the government to educate its generation. Because if these old people go to the school for education, money has to be spent by the government. But if part of the students go to job and then do their studies simultaneously, government is relieved with responsibility. So whenever a government says or an agency says, we are going to offer you opportunity for work and learn, government is tacitly announcing that we are relieving our responsibility of education. You learn by work, it's not our job. But Kerala had a different picture, early phases of 1900s, after the 1800s, maybe the last phase of 1800s. I will tell you only one incident. I was interviewing some teachers, some old people living in the early phases of 1900. An old person who is no longer now, passed away. He said that in Alapura, Cherathala, the school children goes to school. And when the school leave at noon, say for example 12 o'clock they will leave the school, Pallikudam, which was called as Pallikudam. When the school was leaving at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, children will go back to their houses. Maybe some total maximum of 30 students, 20 students will be there at schools. When the children go back home, the houses nearby these Pallikudams, the schools, they will arrange buttermilk, which is called as Morimbalam. These homes arrange buttermilk for the children who is going back to home. Which means that none of my child is studying there, but still I provide buttermilk for my children, somebody else's children, and a Natu Brahmani or a feudal arranging a small shed in his house, somewhere in his plot. He earmarked some 1 acre for the school, for a space for playing, and then appointing teachers with little pittance actually, less than 6 rupees per year. 6 rupees per year. Say for example, Cochin Maharaja writes a letter to the Colonel Monroe saying that the education, the salary which I am going to a Sanskrit college teacher, Thiruvananthapuram Sanskrit college, is just 6. I cannot run the college like this. So I need government support, British government support for running the Thiruvananthapuram Sanskrit college. Kochi Maharaja write to the Colonel Monroe. So this 6 rupees, at college level 6 rupees, then definitely at school level some 2 rupees, 3 rupees or maybe 1 rupee as the salary. So they did all this with the understanding that education is a social responsibility. So I educate, I give the land, 1 acre land, not for educating my children, but for educating the children around, which this institution later become single management schools. Maybe their interest and motto has changed now. But the forefathers who started these schools had definitely a wonderful social purpose actually. And that social purpose is been now, maybe is missing now, but still, when a government says that people can work and learn, government tacitly tells us that educating you is not our job. And government says that we are providing you educational loans. We are doing all the necessary things to provide you educational loans. The government is again announcing that you get learn and study. It's not our job. So what we see today is an absolute withdrawal of the government from the system of education. Absolute withdrawal. The education loans government declare as its great work across India. We give educational loans, we facilitate educational loans, but we provide opportunity to work and learn. These two are wonderful strategies that government says in a very indirect way, your education, your children's education is not our job. You do out of your money. So that's what we have to understand from this. Of course, regional differences is another big Pandora's box. Nobody considers regional differences in education. Even NAC, even NIRF, nobody considers, and state governments also even doesn't consider the regional differences. It's another big issue.
Sir,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. Your presentation was wonderful and awesome, I would say, because I have attended almost 6 seminars of NEP, and this is one which one logically you have presented in a wonderful way. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Another thing is, it's my suggestion. When we see the NEP as a, we have to see this policy as a whole, not in a segregated way. With regard to higher education and with regard to schools, we should not segregate it. If we segregate it, we will face the problem as he asked. What about the socialization and what is the problem with the equity and all these things? If we see it in a whole, we can easily solve all these problems, because students are there from the grade 1 to till plus 2. They are at the school level itself, and they have a socialized mechanism there in the school. So I think all the problems will be solved if we see this policy as a whole. It's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Yeah. Seeing holistically is quite important for commenting about anything. On the other way, other than modularizing and then commenting about it, definitely that's important. Yeah, socialization, when we say about, and as you have mentioned it specifically, there is a famous famous psychologist who is a neo-Freudian, who has proposed a theory which is called as, till Freudian period, we are under the belief that, personality is something which has been shaped by the age of 5. And then afterwards there is no change, then just only a manifestation of whatever has been developed within 5 years of time. But there is severe, restructuring and reformations on Freudian work, and many of the later workers, like later psychologists like neo-Freudians like Alfred Adler, and then Eric Erikson has brought out several other theories. Now, according to them, a human personality is being shaped, is a continuous process, and which is being shaped through continuous social crisis. Every human being undergoes social crisis, which is not only specific to 5 years. That's what on the criticism on the Freudian, psychology, and even 12 years, 13 years, 50 years, 60 years, and so on. So this crisis, social crisis, goes on continuously. Maybe initial period of time you have successfully resolved the social crisis, your personality. Say for me says that, at a particular period of time, during the adolescence, one of the most important social crises the children face is identity. I do not know who I am going to be, whether I get a job, to where I am addressing myself, who am I, whether I am a political party, whether I am Congress or Communist or BJP or Muslim or whatever, what am I is a major question. What profession I am going to choose, police or maybe clerk or teacher. So all these identity related questions, all together we call it as who am I is the question of this adolescence. If this question is answered successfully, the student's identity crisis will be resolved. He will become a person who has established identity. He will openly say that, yes, I belong to this party and I belong to this religion. I wanted to become this. If this, or even gender is an important identity at this period of time, gender identity. So if you are not able to resolve this crisis, you will be confused in your own gender. Maybe at the age of 50, you are, in a gender crisis. That's what Yuval Noah Harari says, that, at the age of 35 only I came to know that I am not a male. I was in gender crisis. crisis because my gender was not resolved at the age of adolescence. So all these crises are social crises basically, and then even coming up to the age of 60 also you will have the crisis of social system. So socialization is not something which will reach its culmination at the age of school level, which we continuously undergo. So throughout the life, if you isolate a person, we lose our meaning of the life. Say for example, famous, Vygotsky theory used to say that the words gets meaning only in a social system, actions gets meaning only in a social system. If I point my finger on you, we deem it as a very bad behavior, and then we say that you are not supposed to do that. It's kind of an offense. I can point the finger and speak very arrogantly. But then you go into a room, close the room, and point the finger and speak. Nobody will oppose you. There is no problem with you. Because the pointing of finger is an action. This is representative of all kinds of actions. Pointing of a finger gains its meaning only in a social system. So your actions at any point of time in your life, your words in any point of time, at any point of time of your life, gains its meaning only in a social system. So if this social system is lifted from an individual, say for example you have already enjoyed 12 years, 13 years of social system, now you live sometime isolatedly, as Eric Fromm says that the most important threat in the world for the human being is isolation. Eric Fromm says that. And in search of this isolation, means overcoming the isolation, man will proceed his life. There's a wonderful book of Eric Fromm about how this isolation become a serious threat for the human being. So, which is needed throughout the life actually.
So, I have a question. That some of the colleges and mainly remote courses, such skill-oriented courses are there. In here, I think here also we have such course. For granting such courses, that UGC required that MOUs with industry or the collaborations they needed. That is a must. Okay, so in what extent that industrialization will affect this education field? That means they are projecting the point that job opportunities will be there and all, but so many are suggesting about the bad point of view of that industrialization in this education in a negative way. So in what is your opinion about that industrialization in this education field? That is a bad after effect of NEP.
You are asking my opinion about the effect of industrialization in education.
Yes.
So industrialization of education is actually, being part of education after a particular point of time where education become a key source of, income and labor labor as an important outcome of education system. Of course, in our modern life, we cannot survive without providing better labor force for the labor, for the market. So one of the most important job of education is to provide abilities to become a good labor or a good, worker. But there is a tendency that is going to be the only one objective of education. There is where this difference of opinion comes in. So the whole universities and the whole educational institutions are running behind this industrialization process, whereby they wanted to prove that we are the stewards of industrial labor economy, labor market. So when the educational institutions work as the stewards of the labor market, then what happens, the labor market will dictate terms for the educational institutions. Labor market will start dictating terms for the educational institutions. Definitely, there is no way of escape from providing, keeping this labor production as an important job of education. Since from its formation of formal education system, labor is an important objective of education. But after a particular point of time, this influence has grown up severely, and then industrialists started dictating terms. You teach this, then only we will give the job. So this job, if you don't give this job, we will not teach you. So the question is, who shapes what? In that process of shaping question, we have gone behind. There is the problem. I'll tell you an example. During the independence struggle, there was newspapers in India which shaped a younger generation, a generation of the fighters, independence freedom movement fighters. When you read one article in Desha Swadeshabhimani written by Ramakrishna, read one article and you become an independent fighter, means a freedom fighter. So one article has been written by Swadeshabhimani Ramakrishna, immediately CP's police will come, or maybe British police will come in search of the editor. And of course the publisher, Vakam Purushottam, also has to go in exile then. Not Vakam Purushottam, Vakam Abdul Kalam. So, which means that these newspapers were shaping a generation for freedom fighters. After a particular time, now you see, is it the newspapers shaping a generation, or is it the generations shaping the newspaper now? Now the other way is happening. So there, the newspapers and the media has lost the command of shaping a generation, but instead, if you don't give interesting news for us, they will not watch your news or will not read your newspaper. So the reader's interest become an important factor that shaped the newspapers, which was vice versa earlier. Similarly, education was an important factor that shapes industries and the markets. But unfortunately, over a period of time, it is the industries now shaping education. There is the issue. Our command over shaping has been lost to a great extent. That has to be recovered. So then what happens? New industries will come up according to the vision of the system of education. Otherwise, new education will come up according to the vision of the industries. So this is the issue of tension between industry and education.
I think there are no more questions, so we'll wind up the session with a vote of thanks. I request Assistant Professor Shamina Hamza to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected resource person, Professor Dr. Al-Ameen Kumar, Mohan sir. Myself, I am also attracted towards the term mokeification of higher education, as my friend Jiswin also said. Actually, this definitely was an enlightening session for all of us. I am definitely sure that we all can expect that mokeification of higher education sector, how this is going to dismantle the concept of all us teachers. As Sir said, let us all be able to identify what all are the opportunities or the areas in which we teachers are able to excel, and then gain more and more excellence in those areas through these mokeification of courses. And also, Sir focused on the standardization of education sector that is to be brought in at the global level, and the new terms that would be used for addressing the various degrees procured by us and all our students. And as Sir said, let us all be that aspiring teachers by using these online platforms and the various schemes of new national education policy. Let us all be able to reap that all benefits of these new national education policy. And definitely, sir, your attempt to critically look into the points of new national education policy has been a very fruitful session for all of us. And all our doubts were also cleared in a very elaborate manner. In that regard, I would like to express on behalf of all of us present here my wholehearted gratitude to you, sir. Thank you so much.
We will be taking a break now for lunch. Lunch has been arranged in the college canteen for all the internal participants. Our second technical session, Multidisciplinary Education and Research Universities, will be led by Professor Karanam Pushpanada. He has joined us online from Gujarat. He is a professor of Education Management at Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Gujarat. I invite Dr. Naji Latif, Department of Chemistry, to introduce him to the gathering.
Respected dignitaries of the dais, fellow participants, a warm good afternoon to all of you. Now we have moved to the second technical session for two-day national seminar on reforms in higher education, post NEP 2020, challenges and opportunities. Today's session in the online mode will be handled by Professor Karanam Pushpanadam, Professor Education Management, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Gujarat. He has more than 25 years of teaching experience in the field of educational management. He has conducted various research and outreach programs, faculty development programs, etc. He is also a member of various professional organizations like Academic Advisor, IIT Jammu, member of Academic Board, School of Education Assam, member of Academic Board, IGNO, New Delhi, etc. He is also the coordination of DSA, research project of UGC and visiting professor at Assumption University, Thailand. He has also organized international training program for the district education officers of Afghanistan. So I am sure he is the apt person for presenting this topic on multidisciplinary education and research universities. On behalf of Al-Ameen College, Kerala and HRDC University of Kerala, I extend a genuine welcome to Professor Karanam Pushpanadam. Thereby, I honorably invite you to take on the technical session, and I also welcome Dr. Mohan, Dr. Amar and our dear principal, Dr. Sinikudyan, and all the faculty members to this session. Thank you.
Am I audible, please? And this is an unavoidable circumstance, therefore I need to make it possible through this online mode. And thank you very much for Al-Ameen College of Education for arranging this online talk. Professor Mohan Menon, Professor Amrit Kumar, all the distinguished participants of this national conference, and my student teachers. National education policy was a great hope to bring transformation in education with a strong belief that the transformation in education can only bring transformation in the society. Therefore, It was thoroughly discussed, cutting across the country. Lot many ideas were actually recorded and presented. And this gives a broad picture of what we as India is looking forward to happen in the future. The moment we see the very vision of National Education Policy 2020, it talks about the Indian education system is transformed or is in the process of transformation, and we would like to become the global knowledge power. You know, this particular statement within the education policy's vision actually talks about our great aspirations, and of course we are competent to realize these aspirations into reality. And when we talk about the kind of higher education that we have today, especially in the 21st century, and also the kind of developments taking place, whether you talk in terms of the increased globalization or the technological revolutions, we have a feeling that we need to rethink about our educational processes, especially in higher education. And we have realized that there is a dire need to reconceptualize and reposition higher education in India. This was actually happened, this was actually seen in the policy of NEP 2020, especially when we talk in terms of the tertiary education in India. There were several comments, observations, and opinions about people cutting across the country and the world, talking about the recommendations of NEP 2020. Friends, my personal belief is that imagination is always important, and I do believe what we imagine today will be the reality tomorrow. This is how I see education policy. Probably today, we see that educational recommendations are difficult to achieve, not relevant to context. But friends, let me tell you, the spirit with which these recommendations were made are very futuristic, and what we have imagined today will surely become the reality in the near future. This is my first humble submission to all the people participating in this National Education Policy Implementation Conference. If you see the pillars of NEP 2020, on which the entire policy document, the future vision of the country was developed, it talks about equity, it talks about inclusiveness, it talks about affordability, it talks about flexibility, and it talks about the quality of higher education. And they have clearly mentioned that the pillars, the foundation on which the NEP 2020 was built, conceptualized, and proposed for the blueprint for educational reforms in India is about the equity, understanding the large number of diversities country. And therefore, education has to be inclusive. Therefore, no child is left behind and no human being is deprived of education facilities. And that is the kind of a vision with which the policy document was proposed. And another significant aspect was the affordability. To what extent the education is at the doorsteps of every individual. In a sense, the economic standards of people should not be the hurdle for pursuing further education. And it talks about the flexibility. Flexibility in terms of thinking, alternative methods, approaches, apart from the traditional teaching learning process on which the most of the universities are working today. Understanding the potential of technology, open and distance learning, massive open online courses, embracing the digital technologies into education, how education can be flexible. And education needs to maintain the quality in terms of developing skills, developing human resources, and therefore they contribute to the better world. So friends, these notions, with strong determination, our national education policy was prepared and it was passed in the parliament. And that too, during the time of the COVID period, as a ray of hope, it was passed in the parliament, which was a very historical and significant event that happened in the field of education. Now we all know, however sophisticated the policies that we prepare, all these things will come to nothing if the practitioners are not able to understand, own it and implement in their context. Therefore, policy document has to be translated into meaningful programs, understanding the spirit of recommendation and try to implement at the grassroots level, at the institutional level. So the policy has to be translated into effective program, and then with the continuous reviews, assessment, analysis, we will be able to refine and come out with the new perspectives of looking at education system in this country, which is very, very important, which is an ongoing process. Probably in this context, the seminar is organized. Probably in this context, the different teams were decided to see that how institutions can be empowered, how the people working in higher education system can be made resourceful to implement these activities more meaningfully, collectively, with a strong determination in our institutional level. Therefore, the success of any policy is always seen from the perspective in which the policy is successfully implemented. So friends, in this context, we would like to quickly see what are the policy vision and the directives, especially in the context of higher education. Once you read the policy document, it actually talks about the university systems that we have today. Moreover, in some universities, the universities are becoming day by day. We have Raksha Shakti University in Gujarat. We have Children University in Gujarat. We have petrochemical universities. So, the policy defines university system to be a large multidisciplinary universities and colleges, not monodisciplinary universities. As we have seen in the last decade, these such universities are coming up in a large way. And they also talked about.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah, you are audible, but are you changing the slide? Hello?
Am I audible, please?
You are audible, but are you changing the slides?
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
I'm just moving it when I need to move, okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do it. But the voice is clear.
Yeah, voice is clear. A little bit howling is there. I think the fan is...
Sir, my voice is clear?
Voice is clear, sir, but in between howling is coming.
Okay.
I think it's because of the fan. Otherwise, it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Hello? Yeah. So we are actually conceptualizing universities into a large multidisciplinary universities and colleges. And at least in each and every district. And to offer these programs in a more flexible way by giving the institutional autonomy to the teachers, in curriculum design, pedagogy assessment, and also the technological integration into education and development. And we also focusing about establishing a national research foundation. And this foundation would fund the outstanding peer-reviewed research and to actively seed research in universities and colleges. So a lot of new ideas are brought into for flexibility, for the increased access, equity, a range of measures like scholarship, private-public partnerships, the open distance learning, online education, national digital platforms, and developing the content which is self-paced. So all these different approaches were identified to make higher education system more vibrant and relevant to the developmental phase that we are looking for. And one important recommendation which they made was to create, they call the MIRU, multidisciplinary education and research universities. So we need to understand what actually it is and why we need multidisciplinary education and research in Indian university systems. Probably it was not only recommended for higher education, it was also recommended for multidisciplinary perspectives even in school education curriculum. So friends, we need to understand today what about the very nature of higher education and its purpose. We need to recall that the three important aspects that have to be carried out in the higher education system today. One is teaching. The second important responsibility is research. And the third equally important responsibility is community outreach programs. You call it as extension activities. Teaching, research and extension. So unlike school education, higher education institutions are the centers for knowledge creation. And this knowledge creation is possible only extensive research in the areas concerned. Therefore, research is a very, very important activity that needs to be planned, that needs to be sharpened, that needs to be nurtured in higher education system today. Professor Bush, the founder director of Center for Advanced Studies in Education, MS University of Baroda, he always used to say that we need researching teachers and teaching researchers in higher education system today. We need teaching researchers and researching teachers, which means the teachers in higher education are holding the responsibility of creating new body of knowledge. And the creation of new body of knowledge is only possible when they are consistently pursuing research in their area of specialization, in the area of concern. That's how the knowledge is generated and the knowledge is disseminated through teaching, through publications, through conferences, through discourses. So the vibrancy of any university that we talk in terms of this context, the teachers continuously engage into the research areas, and they are also engaged in disseminating the findings of the research through their teaching, through their community outreach activities. That's the kind of responsibility which is given to higher education system today. And therefore, we really need to understand whether the perspectives of teaching or the perspectives of research or the perspectives of the community outreach activities have changed over a period of time, looking into the emerging issues and challenges, both at local, national, regional and global levels. Why? Because universities hold that responsibility of universality. The knowledge is universal in nature. So friends, the policy actually highlights these different aspects. Both teachers need to teach in higher education system. What kind of research that is needed to address the emerging challenges that the country is facing today, that the world is facing today, and how effectively these outcomes of research can be shared with the larger communities and then create a community of learners as a whole. So friends, in this context, the first aspect that we talk about, teaching. Teaching a particular discipline. So far, when you see the traditional university systems, we have a very standard pattern of the subjects we teach in a very programs. I was reading in one of the articles recently. Even today, the most popular programs that universities offer in general is the BA and the BSc and the BCom programs. Majority of the students are enrolling into these programs. The traditional programs. So now what is required? If you thoroughly look into these programs, a pattern of the subjects are attached to a particular program. For example, BSc, Physics, Maths, Chemistry, maybe a little component of a language. And there is no choice of the learner if he or she is interested to study the music or the psychology or sociology or the history. There was less what you call the flexibility in terms of the choices that students make. For example, if somebody is studying, let us say BA in political science, and you would like to take a course in physics or mathematics or statistics, for example. We used to have a very, very less opportunities for people because they are, what I mean is the course-oriented programs, everything is set. And if the student is choosing a particular course and he has to go within that framework. So friends, today we have come to a different level, looking at knowledge as a whole and providing opportunities for the students to choose the subjects of their choice and then pursue their course of studies. And this has become a necessity. Friends, we need to see this as a necessity by looking into the contemporary problems that we are facing. Let me bring the ESD goals, education for sustainable development goals. This is the best example of why the educational programs need to be multidisciplinary in nature. When we focus about the problems that we are facing globally, and those problems cannot be addressed with the monodisciplinary knowledge. We need to understand the subject knowledge of various disciplines to understand a particular phenomenon that's happening in the society at large. And this thing we have realized, and we have realized more in the phase of development that's taking place now. Let me cite you one example. When the artificial intelligence, robotics, the big data is coming more and more in the industrial sector, and it also has come to education sector today. And therefore, you need to come up with the different ways of the human-machine interaction, the emotions of human beings and the artificial intelligence. Or you talk about the artificial intelligence and the neurosciences. We will not be able to understand the kind of issues and problems that we are facing or we could foresee with one knowledge domain in a particular field. Therefore, the multidisciplinarity is a very, very important aspect to understand the problems which are actually emerging in the which can address certain problems of structures that we have created. Especially during the COVID time, the social and emotional well-being has become so prominent in almost all fields of the economy. Whether you talk about medicine, you talk about the social, the sociology, social structures, and thereby people started looking into the human behavior. People started looking into the theories of motivation. People started looking into the emotional development that takes place in human beings. Even the doctors used to say the success of the COVID vaccine depends largely on how you mentally prepare to accept and internalize it. Therefore, the medical testing was not sufficient to explain the success of a COVID the vaccine. So it needs human beings, it needs their emotions, their social and well-being, their mindset. So friends, we have actually reached to this level today. Our problems are so complex, and the problems that we are actually facing in the developmental journey are becoming so complex. And these problems cannot be understood and addressed more meaningfully with one particular disciplinary orientation. It needs multidisciplinary orientation, it needs interdisciplinary orientation, it needs the convergence of the body of knowledge, and therefore together we will be in a position to address these challenging issues and come out with it. And the national education policy is giving emphasis on this, is giving emphasis on how this multidisciplinary education and research can be promoted in higher education systems. And thereby, our students will have these competences to work collaboratively, to work in a common goal, to work for the common goal, and then address the issues that are actually bothering and acting as a stumbling blocks to our nation. You know, I was reading one of the very important articles published by McKinsey Global Institute. I think most of you are familiar with McKinsey. McKinsey is a global institute. It conducts research on global issues and also provide directions to the major corporate organizations, educational organizations, policy makers. The recent research which they actually published by consolidating the research studies that have been conducted over a bit of time, they identified some 12 important areas of research that are needed for human life and living and for the sustainable development. And friends, these 12 areas that they identified cannot be addressed with a single disciplinary knowledge. We need to have a new breed of thinking, a new breed of human resources to understand the problem from 360-degree These 12 areas that they identified, the global research areas, one area was the climate risk and response, physical hazards and the socio-economic impacts. This is one prominent area of research which the world is focusing now, which is a necessity for the future to survive for the sustainable development. And the moment you look at it, the climate risk and response, physical hazards and socio-economic impacts, it cannot be studied with only geological perspective or climatology, but it needs sociology, the economics. And friends, there is a need to collaborate between the disciplines, collaborate between the experts in various disciplines to understand and address the issue of climate change. The another important thing was prioritizing health, a prescription for prosperity. The way that you are looking about prosperity in terms of the wealth, the money, the finance, the currency. After COVID-19, we started looking at the health is a priority for prosperity. And therefore, the host of disciplines need to contribute together. The human sciences, education, medical, and how they collaborate and come out with a common model that can really understand and address the issue. And the other important area that they talk was risk resilience and rebalancing in global value chains. The up and downs that are happening in the economic, social, cultural aspects of human development. And then how these issues can be addressed with one single discipline. It has to be addressed with the experts of multiple disciplinary oriented people. I think that's the basic idea with which the multidisciplinary education and the research is proposed at the universities.
Sir, I can hear you. Hello? Sir, I can't hear you.
He is muted. He is muted.
Yeah.
It has to be unmuted that you can see it.
Sir, kindly unmute.
By mistake, you might have.
Sir, I think you are muted. We're still not able to hear you, sir.
Is it clear now?
No.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, clear. Thank you. Yeah. So the universities need to was prescribed in the national education policy. And there were a host of recommendations which were made, which are not the general practice usually you find in the higher education system. Number one, the research traditions. You know, in the higher education system, usually research happens at two levels. One is as a course of study, and the second aspect was research which is designated, which is commissioned, which is funded, where the teachers used to do. But if you see the kind of tradition over the years, you find this research is basically disciplinary oriented research. A professor in education, as a professor in psychology, takes up a project and it is more or less an individual's affair. Friends, if you look at the global changes that are happening today, there are research networks which are promoted. You know, the World Educational Research Network identified certain areas of research which are global concern, and they encouraged people to form a research network, international research network. And this network is not within the country, within the discipline, but the multinational, multidisciplinary research networks which are actually working today on certain global issues and coming out with. So the culture which the Miru is actually expecting from the universities to implement is creating that multidisciplinary research networks working together collaboratively on certain pertinent issues, and therefore what is required is not to come out with a report and submit, but it should have some kind of impact on the social development. And this kind of idea you can also see very clearly in the Indian Council for the Social Science Research, when they talk about the impact-oriented research, identified some 8 to 10 areas, encouraging the scholars working in these areas, interdisciplinary, working in different universities across the country to address a pertinent problem. I think this is what is expected when you talk about multidisciplinary education and multidisciplinary research in higher education. So the first one is universities need to develop the research culture, and the research culture essentially be multidisciplinary, multinational, broad-oriented, impact-oriented research that has to be identified and executed. And the second is most important is we must create opportunities for our students to get a kind of opportunity to understand the knowledge as a whole. You know, the initiations of the STEM education, and today we are calling about the STEAM, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. This is a very significant direction towards the multidisciplinary education and research. So the institutions need to understand the spirit of STEM and STEAM and then try to implement it effectively and continuously change, looking into the difficulties they encounter in the process. Friends, I am very happy that even in the Indian Institutes of Technologies, strengthen humanities and social science within the technology, within the management sciences, within the engineering sciences, which is a sign for a graduate to understand the knowledge. And this actually talks about knowledge is not for the knowledge sake, but the knowledge is to address, transfer, and apply to the social development and human sustainability. And the kind of recommendation which, especially in education, was seen was integrated teacher education programs. And friends, 4 IITs in India have come forward to implement these IITs, integrated teacher education programs, in their institutions. IIT Kharagpur, IIT Chennai, IIT, there are 2 other IITs. I feel it's a good beginning. It actually brings down the gap between the disciplinary boundaries, and it will really increase the kind of strength in teacher education programs as well. So we need a new breed of teachers to address the emerging challenges that we are facing in the classrooms today. Whether you talk about technology-enabled classrooms, you talk about emotional, social disturbances within the classrooms. We talk about socially, culturally, technologically relevant curriculum. And we want competent teachers who can handle these difficult, complex issues. I think this is a very, very important aspect that NEP 2020 talks about. And thereby, they proposed multiple entries, multiple exits, which is a flexibility component which they developed. And they also talk about the academic bank of credits, ABC. It is not necessary that you need to study in a particular faculty that you enroll, but you also have the opportunity to study various, what you call the micro credentials. Through the academic bank of credits, the micro credentials approach is basically promoted. Therefore, the students are encouraged to take up the value-added programs from various disciplines by taking care of their interests. So all these programs will surely result into some kind of awareness and some kind of what I call is the capacity in the education system to address the challenges that we have it. Friends, to sum up, today it seems to be a little confusing. Probably today it seems to be a little what you call skeptics about what we are talking. But I'm sure with all our sincere efforts and understanding, we will be able to achieve what our national education policy is visualizing. So what is required for teachers today and what we need to promote in our education institutions is the 3 important things. I will end up by saying, if we want to make our institutions innovative, if we want to make our teachers innovative, if we want to make our students innovative, we need to focus on 3 important things. One is imagination. We want our students need to be imaginative. And the imagination is the source of inspiration to achieve. So the first one is imagination, how we can really nurture and promote through our academic programs. informing is information. The imagination has to be coupled with the information, and friends, we are living in the information age. We are living in the knowledge-based society. We are accessible to the worldwide knowledge. Therefore, to take informed decisions, we need to have information. And the information and imagination coupled with the initiation. Initiation is the personal disposition to put your ideas forward and work for it. And today, across the country, we have incubation centers, startups which are coming up. So our initiation, information and imagination together with the policy directives, we will be able to achieve the vision of achieving the global knowledge power. With this, I stop my presentation, and I will be happy to address any of the questions that you have it. And I'm extremely happy that Professor Mohan Menon is in front of me, and Professor Amrut, both of you are there. I'm missing you physically, but I'm with you virtually. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Pushpanathan. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice to see you on the screen. It would have been better face to face, of course. Anyway, I mean, we had a good morning session also with Professor Ramant presenting on the future of how the post-education will go, post-policy activities will go, development will happen, and of course I am not here to give any observations here. I just want to thank you that I could listen to you. Next time maybe when we invite, Kerala invites, you will make it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. I think we have not met, but we have been in communication, I think. Yeah, last, I think 3 months before 3 or 4 months before I was in Baroda. I was at Case, but I couldn't meet you. I asked about you, but I think on that day you were not there in the office. Maybe probably because of that, I was not able to meet you. Looking forward to meet you soon. Thank you.
Any questions? Questions, please.
So I think we don't have any questions. So I think we'll wind up the program. As teachers, as research students, we are all aware that beyond a certain level, education, research becomes multidisciplinary in nature, right? But with the implementation of NEP 2020, this is becoming more of a necessity, providing solutions, providing flexibility. Okay. He also stressed the importance of creating multidisciplinary networks and interdisciplinary teams collaborating with each other to address pertinent issues. So definitely our role is evolving, changing. We need to be mindful of that. So with that, I end my words. On behalf of all of us gathered here, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. The feedback form has been circulated. I would request the participants who have received them to kindly hand over it to the organizers. Again, a small tea has been arranged right outside the seminar hall as in the morning. Kindly help yourselves. We will begin the session tomorrow morning sharp at 10 a.m. Those of you who are presenting papers, kindly be ready with your presentations. Also, if you could please carry a hard copy. Okay? So I hope